to make sure he gets treated well. Drew Thomas Allen at 10:41. Vic for Vets at 11:05. As we honor people who have served this country, people always say, why don't the military get a whole month?
Right.
Well, now they do.
And
we'll do that at 11:05. And by the way, my friend Ken Williams is going to take care of that for us today. Dr. Randy Tobler and the chat box, of course. Ken, who leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
One of the Vic heads, Nancy Murnan.
Oh, Nance, we love you. Go right ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He's known by many names.
We the people are in charge. We're going to save our republic.
Nikki Two Shows, Schroer the Thrower. Twitter trolls love to hate him.
We love Vic Porcelli so much.
He's Nick Schroer, Missouri State Senator.
Good morning, State Senator Schroer. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful here in Jefferson City in the people's capital, just ready to cut some taxes this week.
All right, we're going to talk about that in a second. First, I just want to bring up for just a quick minute that this guy in Colorado, the guy from Egypt who was yelling free Palestine while he threw Molotov cocktails at Jewish people, he barely speaks English, yells free Palestine, throws Molotov cocktails at peaceful protesters. His name is Mohammed Solomon, and the media says he's a Colorado man, and we're unsure of his motive.
Yeah, this is the sad truth that fake news media has not learned their lesson. We covered a little bit of when I was in D.C. with Timmy Jones, and we were meeting with Eric Burlison, who I know you're going to have on, and Nate Lucas and all those guys. But the fake news media at that time, when he was meeting with the president of South Africa, they didn't learn their lesson, and they all colluded, saying the same thing, that Trump ambushed this person, this president in the Oval Office. And now they're doing the same thing with these terrorist attacks. We saw that week when we were in D.C. that there were two young students that were killed because they were Jewish. And we had, some crazy buffoon screaming free Palestine. We have terrorists in our nation right now. And the media better do their damn job and start reporting the news and not spreading this misinformation.
Well, Nick, they're not going to change, and they're going to keep it up. But the problem is they're losing viewerships because the American people are onto it now. I think now that they have choices to look at other places, they're saying, wait a minute, why'd they say this? And why didn't they lie by omission? Why didn't they just say that? And they did, and they don't cover what it needs to be covered as it actually was happening. That's not journalism.
Well, Ken, the crazy thing that I love what is happening right now, there are a lot of people out there, including myself, that for many years have said, gosh, dog, I just hate social media because it's just so divisive, and you've got people, keyboard warriors, you've got paid trolls. But the thing is, with all the bad, there is some good coming out of it. And you have these citizen journalists that now the Trump administration is opening up the media inquiries to these people. We've seen this countless times where there's somebody who's just reporting the news on TikTok or Twitter or Instagram, whatever it may be, and they're getting a large following, much larger than MSNBC, much larger than Rachel Madcow. The fact of the matter is, journalism is starting to grow in the shadows of the mainstream media losing its light. And that, to me, is very encouraging. I think Walter Cronkite and all those old news guys that you could never really tell which way they were positioning themselves or politically affiliated, kind of like my old professors before they all became woke. I had certain professors that you would talk to, okay, president election's coming up, who are you going to go with? And they would never tell you. That's how good journalism used to be.
Nick, the media are stuck. They're stuck. They can't change now. They can't all of a sudden call this guy a terrorist from Egypt. They have to call him a white man, from Colorado. And what was it? And unsure of his motive. Because if they do that, then everybody's going to say, hey, wait a minute. You didn't do that a couple of months ago, right? They're stuck.
Yeah, it's the same thing that the Democrats do. It's just wordsmithing. Rather than saying that they're pro-abortion, it's, pro-choice. Oh, you're pro-choice. Okay, well, how about me not injecting myself because my employer told me I have to get this COVID vaccine, which I don't need? No. You have to do that. So they're very slick with their wording, and this shows that they're working hand in hand. The media is working hand in hand with the Democrat Party to push their narrative. But the good news is it's a failing narrative. People, as you were saying, are waking the hell up and are fighting back and are saying enough is enough. We saw that in the election back in November. We're seeing it now. People are turning off MSNBC, turning off NBC, and going to do their own research. And we talked about this too with AI. AI is going crazy. The good news is, and it's getting so hard to tell the difference. There's this new AI platform that has videos and everything, and it'll make Vic and Ken look exactly like they're saying and doing everything live, but it's all AI. The good news is people are now starting to question everything, and that's something that I've been pushing for years. Do your own homework. Don't just take the talking heads point of view. Do your own research. We're getting into those weeds when it comes to people actually grabbing up the magnifying glass and doing their own research.
Well, listen here. If they're going to do AI of Ken and me, they better get the handsomeness right.
No kidding.
Right? Okay.
I don't think anybody can get that handsomeness.
I'm saying, Nick. That's what I'm saying.
They'll be able to tell it's not it's AI.
Right. That's not handsome enough to be Vic and Ken. All right. So now let's go to what you mentioned at the top. Lots to talk about here, Nick. And before we talk about lowering taxes, which I really hope you guys are going to do, I don't have enough. I'm a little light this week. I can't pay for another ballpark for the Kansas City Royals.
I agree. And that's exactly the sentiment that I'm hearing from the people of Missouri is, well, wait a second. I can't afford my light bill. I can't afford groceries. I can't afford student loans. Whatever it may be, costs are getting too dang high. And, if we're going to cut some sort of special deal with tax credits for the Chiefs owners, who, by the way, I hope you all remember, the Chiefs owners were the ones that were colluding with Jerry Jones to get the Rams the heck out of Missouri,
right?
So they could be Missouri's team. And the Kansas City Royals, who, by the way, are pushing this Pride Month narrative, which, when you look at the Pride flag, it's got all of these different colors that mean all of these different things, who you're attracted to, who you love. Look, baseball's supposed to be baseball. Let's get this crap the heck out of our sports, the heck out of our politics. And look, if you want to go love whoever you want to love, that's fine. Just don't put it on Sesame Street like PBS is doing right now, brainwashing and grooming our kids. Yep. So we're going to have a long talk. We're going to have a long talk as to what this deal is going to look like. It's my understanding that Governor Kehoe has taken a totally different approach than what Kansas is doing. Kansas is writing a blank check to these teams. Governor Kehoe is utilizing tax monies that are coming in and wanting to redirect them in a different way to help rebuild these stadiums. I still don't think it's a good idea, especially when we have personal property taxes, real estate taxes, income taxes that are going bonkers. And we had, for the past 4 years, a presidential administration that was spending this thing like gangbusters on all of their woke ideas in the Middle East. So it's time to cut taxes. And we've got a good growing coalition here in the Missouri Senate saying, look, let's go to the table. We'll play ball with you guys if you can play ball with us and cut taxes for the regular folk just barely getting by that have no ability to put their hand out and say, okay, I can't afford my house anymore. Mr. Government, you pay for my new house. That's what's happening with these sports teams.
Well, the good thing is that once it is built and redone and everything, and we've paid all the taxes into it, we get all that money back, right? I mean, that's the windfall that we receive afterwards, right?
Well, they do have a little bit of some clawback provisions in the language. I was
joking. I'm sorry.
Filed yesterday. Well, no, they actually do have some sort of clawback provisions, which would ensure they can't pick up and leave, or they're going to have an abundance of money that they're going to have to pay back to the taxpayers in the state of Missouri. Again, I don't think this is a great idea when we're subsidizing these sports teams. The Cardinals seem to get by just fine. Other teams seem to get by just fine. The MLS team that we have, I think they had entrepreneurs that came together, the enterprise, the guys that own enterprise, they came together and created something special over there. So look, let's start concentrating on what the people sent us here for, and that's providing some tax relief to them, sending more of their money that they earned. It's not money that's grown on trees or government trees up here. This is money that they put blood, sweat, and tears in. Let's give it back to them. They know how to spend it better than we do.
All right, let's hit some specifics here, Nick. Personal property tax, because you guys are going to work on lowering taxes. I guess I'll just let you go. What taxes specifically are you going to work on?
Well, we've got several different options here, and that's what we went to the table yesterday, a coalition of us and Governor Kehoe, and we said, look, in oddly enough, Governor Kehoe says, I'm all on board. Let's try to see and find a path for this. So we're working with some of the Democrats to see what because they're all ticked off about getting PQ'd the past couple of weeks. They filibustered damn near the entire session. They got PQ'd at the last 2 weeks, and now we're trying to see what their appetite is for providing tax relief to their constituents. So I filed 2 bills dealing with tax cuts yesterday. I filed 3 bills in all, but 2 of them, one dealt with phasing out income tax. It drops it automatically to a 4%, which would make us one of the lowest in all of our surrounding states. But then there are triggers depending upon the income being generated back into the state coffers that would trigger more and more and more and more cuts until it gets to 0. The second bill that I filed was just piggybacking off of where former Senator Eigel had left off with his personal property phase out. It phases it out over a number of years and gives plenty of time to all of these municipalities to figure ways to stop the excess and stop the crazy spending so they can provide for schools, roads, bridges, and first responders. My sweet mate over here, Joe Nicola, is one on the Kansas City side of the state who is focusing on real property reform and the assessments that are going up like gangbusters. Yep. So capping a lot of what they can do and start trying to phase that out. So those are several different approaches that we've had. I know several of my colleagues have other approaches on personal property or real property. And hopefully we'll see today. The bills are going to committee, and hopefully we'll see today, because no matter what we do, the governor is going to have to amend his call for the special session. So for those people that aren't really familiar with special sessions, this is a unique opportunity where the governor gets to lay out all of the directions for the special session. So if somebody tries to file, a bill that I really like, which is moving the school board elections to November, if they try to offer that as an amendment, the Democrats could point of order saying, hey, that's not in the governor's call for special session. So whatever we land on, whatever deal we can find on cutting taxes or getting tax relief, the governor's going to have to amend his call for special session and give us that allowance in his call for special session.
So the blowback on all this, Nick, from people are going to be, if you get rid of personal property tax, income tax, how are we going to make up that money? Does it ever come up in discussion that, we're going to have to make some cuts in state government? Because I've said this a million times, and I don't know if I sound like a baby or not, but when everybody in the private sector loses jobs, nobody cares. But when it happens in the government, oh my God, he's cutting jobs. But sometimes it has to happen. I hate to say that, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Vic, I don't know if I'm spending too much time with you or vice versa, because that's exactly what I say on the Senate floor when we talk about these tax cuts, about how are we going to make up the revenue? How are we going to make up the difference? Well, do what we all have to do. Tighten your belts, start figuring out where you can cut the stuff, the non-essential spending, and let's start there.
Well, I'm fine with that. It's just that the argument, the blowback argument always seems to win, because nobody wants to tell anybody that, sorry, we're going to have to let you go. But it's happened to Ken. It's happened to me.
Oh, multiple times.
Yeah. I'm just sick of it.
Well, here's the thing. We need stronger people. We need more leaders like President Trump, who have actually sat in those boardrooms saying, you're fired, and be able to make those intelligent cuts in these budget committees. That's one of the reasons I vote against the vast majority of these budget items is, you've got some good stuff in there. You've got a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. And we need to start focusing on those areas where, the private sector could be taking this stuff over. It is not a duty of the government to provide monetary expenses for a lot of these things that the government, not only in the state of Missouri, but even Illinois and other states around. And I'm loving this segment that you have about what's the name of it, about Illinois?
It sucks to live in the state of Illinois.
I can't wait to hear that one. But, I've been paying attention to what they're doing right now with their budget. They've got bills that it's a supermajority Democrat party over there. They've got budget bills that are over 2,000 pages long.
Wow.
And that's atrocious. We're complaining about bills that are 70 pages long here, and rightfully so. But man, it sure would suck to live in Illinois under that Democrat control.
Yeah, the amount of taxes they're raising. Pritzker's raising taxes like almost every day. There's something new.
It's crazy. All right, Nick.
Well, for every dollar in tax that he raises, he should have to go run a mile.
All right, so you started it, so now I'll say it. I wasn't going to say this, but now I'll say it. if you remember, if you ever go back and look at editorial cartoons from the past, you know, the boss, like Boss Tweed, was always this big fat guy. And J.B. Pritzker actually is a real big fat guy. All right.
Yeah, he's the Kool-Aid man.
Kool-Aid.
Sunday night, 6 to 8. Stand and fight, Nick.
God bless you, boys.
God bless you, Nick Schroer. Keep fighting, buddy.
All right, Nick Schroer inside my head today. That's okay. I'm totally okay with that.
That's fine.
If he and I think alike, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right. So at 11:05 today, we're going to continue our Vic for Vets to honor Veterans Month, right? Every day we're on the air. Every Monday through Friday, we're going to highlight a different veteran, living or dead. And today, Nick, what's your name?
I'm Ken.
Ken?
Yeah.
You know what, Ken? And today you do it. So that's going to be, I'm going to like watching you do it.
It's going to be my honor. And I really appreciate everybody who's sent some things so far, sent veterans to us. It's been amazing. And I'm really excited about the photos we're going to be putting up on the website and all that stuff coming up. It's going to be an ongoing thing. The month of June is important because it is Veterans Month. But we're going to be doing this once a month forever. And yes, and we're going to have its own page. We're going to have a gallery for all the pictures you're sending. So they're going to stay here.
So keep sending your information about your favorite veteran to Ken at NewstalkSTL.com. Cool?
Cool.
All right, coming up next, I heard it on the X on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Stream the Vic Porcelli Show at Newstalk STL. Vic and Ken. Vic brings the thunder. Ken steals the thunder. Ken, Thunder Stealer. The Vic Porcelli Show on 101.9 and 94.1 Newstalk STL.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 101.9. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Happy Father's Day.
For Father's Day, families everywhere giving dads 40% of the effort they put into Mother's Day.
Dad, I love you.
I appreciate everything you've done for me and all the sacrifices.
I love you, Dad.
Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day for everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
My father's a hero.
Thank you for everything, Pops.
Happy Father's Day from some of Dad's favorites. Iron Bear Customs, Patriot Powder Coating, Tropical World Beds, and News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. So good. It's the au jus that makes it. And the Wagyu beef is pretty good, too. I love Capriati's, and you will, too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
I had a guardian angel by my side. I called her Mamaw. Now, she once told me when she found out that I was spending too much time with a local kid who was known for dealing drugs, that if I ever hung out with that kid again, she would run him over with her car. And she said, JD, no one will ever find out about it.
News Talk STL.
I love that story so much.
I know.
Mamaw said she's going to run him over with her car. And JD, nobody will ever find out.
I can almost picture her, a grandma.
Yes.
Because I've never seen her, but a grandma saying that.
Yep. All right. It's time for something we call I Heard It on the X.
Anywhere, y'all. Everywhere, y'all. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it on the X.
All right. Scouring X for hours and hours for you to find you something. What was funny about that?
Because you enjoy it.
I do. Still work.
With the way you said it, though.
Well,
I scour all day long.
Like
people.
I slaved over a hot stove
all
for
day
you.
long.
Yeah,
on
same
my
kind
knees.
of thing. All right. We start with actually the post is from the Post Millennial, and the quote is CNN's Juliette Kayyem claims the FBI looks juvenile for calling the Boulder, Colorado incident a terror attack because she said it makes the FBI look so juvenile. Like, why are we getting ahead of the police chief who says, I don't know what this is? So many things wrong with this.
Yeah.
First of all, she's like a 12-year-old. It makes the FBI look so juvenile. Like, why are you getting ahead of the police? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
That's how I hear her say it.
Well, and secondly, the FBI probably knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So get ahead of the police. I don't know. They're stuck. They're absolutely stuck.
They are very stuck.
People in Colorado, these libs, they can't come out and say this was an act of terrorism by a Muslim terrorist targeting Jewish people. I mean, they can't say it. You know what we learned yesterday from Karen Cataline? Some of those people that were hurt were Holocaust survivors.
Yeah.
And she knew some of them because she used to live in Colorado.
Wow.
She's feeling the walls closing in,
That's what got her so anxious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we move on to, I want to do him last. See, it's all strategery.
It is.
What I do here.
I know.
This one's from Shermichael Singleton, who says, Democrats have a serious problem with men. Trump is bad isn't a platform. Democracy is at stake isn't a message. Men want purpose, stability, respect, not lectures about toxic masculinity. Until Democrats get that, they'll keep losing male voters. I didn't realize that toxic masculinity is a very vague kind of thing because, and it's funny, I heard Gabe say something this morning about it, and it was like the most innocuous thing, like holding the door for your wife or your girlfriend to get into the car is toxic.
Right. And you know how we always talk about we need to combat whatever they say and stand up for what we believe in. In fact, masculinity is good. Chivalry is good. And when you say toxic masculinity, I turn around and look at you and say, toxic empathy kills more people than toxic masculinity any day. And I mean, think about it. Toxic empathy is what is keeping the illegals crossing the border whenever they want, and people being, oh, you should let them in and you should pay them everything and you should let them have a house and car. And I mean, that's toxic empathy. This is the thing that's killing this country. So let's focus on that for a little bit.
Here, let me say it like somebody would say it on the internet. Let that sink in. That's another one I don't like.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
Don't like that.
No.
Don't like the full stop. Don't like that.
No.
One day we'll do a whole list of stuff I don't like.
Be a long
the whole
list.
3 hours. The whole 3 hours. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, actually, at MAGA Voice, quoted her on X. There certainly is a concern that the previous administration allowed way too many terrorists and illegals into our country. America has been invaded. Deport them all.
Yeah. Forgo your toxic empathy.
Okay. The next one, we call this, I heard it on the X. Let's let everybody hear it on the X.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Here's some audio that came from X. And ladies and gentlemen, this is MSNBC's Simone Sanders.
I have to ask who's actually making the decisions. Who is actually running the country? Everybody wants to say Joe Biden wasn't running the country. I know for a fact he not only read his presidential daily brief, he was engaged in the meeting, he asked questions, and he gave directives. Donald Trump won't even bother to read the iPad.
What? Did she say there? I'm gonna.
Yeah, go ahead.
If it's okay, I'd like to just replay it.
Won't even bother to read the iPad. I have to ask. Won't even bother to read the iPad.
She learned that from Joe. Just say syllables.
This is supposed to be a host of a major news outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear her whole conversation? I could hardly keep up, and I couldn't understand what she was saying.
Now, Ken, I think we just learned something here. I could be wrong.
I learned something.
Won't even bother to read the iPad.
Don't jump on my jokes. Okay?
Okay.
Give me a break. I think we learned this morning is that Simone Sanders, who was the press secretary for the Bernie Sanders presidential campaign, are they related? Are they like brother and sister or cousins?
Could be.
Bernie and Simone?
They could be.
I think they might be.
Bernie and Simone Sanders.
You know what? I think they're related.
Oh.
I think they
are too.
I think they're cousins or something.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
have to be.
Was that bad to say?
No.
Okay. Because I said it and it's over now.
It's over now.
And finally, U.S. Representative Byron Donalds, who said Biden rarely took questions or made public appearances. Staff either interrupted or ended his meetings when he got off script. Now it's being reported that he got lost in his closet. Clinton's lying again. Their cover-up failed. Joe wasn't fit to serve America. Needs answers.
Anywhere, y'all. Everywhere, y'all. I heard it on the X.
There's nothing okay with him getting lost in his own closet, okay?
No, if that's true, people knew that, all right?
But the thing is that how big is the closet? You know, I open my closet door and there are the shirts hanging right there.
It's right there.
You know, there are the pants on the lower rack. I'm like, how big is the closet or how bad mentally is he?
I would say no matter how big the closet is, if he got lost, it's pretty bad.
It's terrible. It's absolutely
if it's
terrible.
the size of an apartment, it's pretty bad.
And Senator Josh Hawley is the guy who had whistleblowers come out and say that. I guess whistleblowers who were, I mean, who knows or sees Joe Biden going into his closet? That would have to be Secret Service or who?
It would have to be a very tight circle. They could have done cocaine in that White House. It's such a tight circle of people.
Cocaine in the White House?
Yeah, that's how close the circle is.
So we may find out about that, I hear.
I doubt it.
I think it's Dan Bongino who said they're going to find out.
Okay, well, I hope so. I trust Dan's word. So,
well, here's the thing. The old administration, they find cocaine in the White House. After that, oh my God, meeting, then they have to say, okay, how we fix this, right? So they say, well, we'll start the investigation. Say, you know, it was in a public place and one of the stupid citizens of the United States left it there or something else. You know what I mean?
What was so funny about that time, if you recall, everything they'd come out with the next moment, somebody would say, no, that can't be possible, sir. Sorry. and then they would say something else. And then they would dispute that and debunk it. And then they would try and find some other way. They never did find out who did it. That's the bottom line.
The Biden
full stop.
No,
I'm not doing
it. Now I need some Pepto-Bismol.
I did it as a joke, but I hate that.
I do too. I just can't.
It hurt when I said it.
And people hear somebody say something. Oh, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that the next time I talk. How you want your coffee? Milk and sugar. Full stop.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. They're doing that on commercials too now.
Come on.
No. If you notice on commercials, they say, "I'm obsessed." Everybody's doing it. All the like makeup commercials or body wash commercials for women primarily. It's all the women basically, and they're all saying. And I look at my wife every time somebody says it. I just look at her. She goes, "I know. I get it.
Full stop.
Full stop."
I think that commercials, like, have you seen the commercials for this kind of deodorant that women use? And the woman starts the commercial with, not only my armpits stink.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God.
You see what my wife laughs her butt off whenever I see those because I go, okay, I'm out. I have dinner here. What happens is when we're eating dinner is when it happens. And she knows that and she starts busting up laughing because she knows it grosses me out.
So funny. So just use your little deodorant and stop saying full stop.
Or obsessed.
I'm the original obsessor. I get to say it.
I'm obsessed. Well, no, that's different. You're actually obsessed with things. These are people saying, "Oh, I'm so obsessed with this product." Shut up. No,
I got you. Yeah. Mine truly is an obsession. It's a sickness.
No, it's real. Yeah.
It's an illness is what it is. Hey, Saturday night, 6 to 9, JC's Wayback Machine. Lots of great music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s that you just don't hear on St. Louis radio. It's a shame, but JC to the rescue. Saturday night, 6 to 9, brought to you by Weber Automotive Group on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show.
There's always have been compelling value sets to business of America. One of those value sets is revenge and retribution.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Whoosh.
On the next.
Larry Connors, USA.
There are a dozen NFL teams that are not showing their support for Pride Month. Some think they should be punished.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here. Exciting things are happening at the Hideout in High Ridge, famous for the Sunset Patio, 4 big screen TVs, live music and events, and of course, the wings. The Hideout now has a brand new menu featuring handcrafted burgers and new items like their signature sunset dip and Dave's Chili. And now a second location, the Hideout at Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge, featuring great event space. You can stop by for lunch or dinner. The new 2025 Hideout and the new Hideout at Sugar Creek Golf Course. We'll see you there.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
You're funny. Well, I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh. What do you mean funny?
On News Talk STL.
Welcome home. I'm Vic Porcelli. That is Ken Williams. Joining us now is Dylan Sharkey, assistant editor at Illinois Policy Institute. And Dylan, you know, we just had a vision of you possibly being on the top of a tall building ready to jump because you live in Illinois. Is that true?
Not that tall building, but yeah, you have the right idea.
I don't want you to jump, you know, because on this side of the, okay, we don't do everything perfect on this side of the river, but my God, the taxes in your state are just, how are people just not leaving by the millions?
Well, that's funny you bring that up because they actually are, but lawmakers wouldn't tell you that. They would tell you that people are coming in droves. So it's kind of like any addiction program. You know, the first step is admitting you have a problem, and year after year, when they're passing these budgets, they don't admit they have a problem.
Yep. They passed a record high budget with over $800 million in revenue changes. You know, there is always a solution sometimes to, because another thing, Dylan, is we're talking about cutting taxes for people here in Missouri. Property tax, personal property tax, income tax, state income tax. And meanwhile, Illinois keeps raising the taxes. And the way possibly to lower some of those taxes, and nobody ever wants to hear this, but, you know, got to cut the budget, got to tighten the belt. Got to lay some people off, Dylan.
Yeah, the budget was more than $55 billion. It was record high spending, and even the way they passed it was is pretty secretive and shady. So there's a rule in Illinois where you have to have a bill read 3 times before you pass it. Well, what they do is they read a bill twice, and the bill's 2 sentences long. Then the last minute they go, you know what, we want to make an amendment, and the amendment is adding 3,000 pages, and it just so happens to be spending $55 billion, and then we'll read it for the 3rd time. So that counts for all 3. That's how they do it.
Wow. That is just amazing. Dylan, we have a lot of listeners from Illinois, and they asked us to get involved with, at least having a conversation about what's going on there. And there are, a lot of our listeners, they're farmers, they're people who love their land, but they're getting stretched. I mean, they really are getting stretched. Is there any possibility that they're going to get some relief on this?
It would depend. So Governor Pritzker hasn't signed the bill yet, so he has a few powers. He could veto the entire budget, but he could also veto just certain aspects of it, which would be much more reasonable for people in taxing some of these, or vetoing, I should say, some of these tax hikes. Like, Illinois already has the highest property taxes in the nation, and one of the things they cut was a relief for property tax appeals, and then they also are raising corporate income taxes, which are already the 2nd highest in the country.
There are counties downstate in Illinois who are actually trying to secede from the state. Where they go, I don't think we've ever gotten an answer whether they're the 51st state or whether we absorb them and we become,
or Indiana or
Indiana, yeah.
Because there's plenty of people downstate who are very conservative and very against taxes, and it could make Illinois even in worse shape if they do leave.
Right. That's one thing that lawmakers don't understand. They say about, they have all these revenue concerns every year. If you just attracted more people, that would bring in more income tax revenue and more gas tax revenue naturally by attracting more people. But it's the exact opposite effect. When you raise it, people leave, and they are somehow scratching their heads being like, how don't we have more money?
Well, to Vic's point is that, like I said, is people love their land. They love being in Illinois. So they would rather secede from the government of Illinois than to move out. That's their first choice. They want to try and secede, but they don't have much of a choice anymore.
No, they don't. Illinois would have that feasibly. I just don't see that ever happening. Illinois would have to agree to it, which they never would. So people like those same people that you described, they're forced to leave. And like you said, they don't want to. It's not their first choice. But when it becomes just good financial advice, it's hard to ignore it.
Yep. And as we, look at your governor, he was talking about how RFK Jr., is going to hurt people's health. We have to help people with their health. Meanwhile, he's tipping the scales. He's got to be 400 pounds. I mean, my God.
Yeah, he's done the talk show circuit. He's been on Jimmy Kimmel. He's been on The View. He's making the rounds on national TV. Like he wants a job promotion from governor. But usually, when people are vying for a better job, they would brag about the things they've done at their current job before trying to say, yeah, I could do this job, but times 50.
So we're talking to Dylan Sharkey from the Illinois Policy Institute. The people at the Institute that you work with, I mean, how long do you guys do this before you say, hey, will anyone listen to us?
Oh, well, there's a lot of people in the state who are very concerned about the issues. If, for instance, Chicago gets a lot of guff for electing Mayor Brandon Johnson. And I always say, like, well, they elected him. That was their option. He was elected by actually like less than a couple 100,000 people for electing a city of 2 million. So there's a lot of people who, weren't vying for him to be mayor, who don't feel that way. And even on Pritzker at the state level, his approval rating is at about dead even, 50-50. So, there's half the state. Now, he obviously, feasibly, he's won elections by landslides. But as far as how people feel about him on his own, his merits aren't that high.
So just so people can get an idea, when I talked about Boss Tweed just a second ago, first of all, Dylan, I love editorial cartoons. I think that's one of the hardest professions and one of the most skilled professions to be able to make a statement, sometimes with no words whatsoever. And just for kicks, I went back into the archives to see if I could find some editorial cartoons on Boss Tweed, and Pritzker's fatter than Boss Tweed in the cartoons.
Yeah, and some of the behaviors of Illinois lawmakers, it's childish. Show cartoons are only fitting.
Yeah, and it's something that when you say, what do the kids say, Ken? Oh, fat. If it's fat, it's good, right? If you're fat, you're doing good.
Or something
you're
like
making
that,
money,
yeah.
right? Well, there you go. There's JB Pritzker, but not quite as fat as JB Pritzker on our stream right there. That's boss tweet. So
boss tweet.
When's the next meeting of your policy institute?
The next meeting. So we're watching right now in Springfield because there was big talks about a lot of taxes. Fortunately for people that didn't make it in, they're talking about hiking tolls, taxing every Amazon and food delivery in the state. There are a lot of talks like Uber surcharges, all sorts of taxes that didn't make it in, but they could. Springfield could call an emergency session over the summer if they wanted to. So we're still keeping our eyes peeled for that.
I mean, does anybody look ahead and see what could happen to your state if you don't do something about what's going on? I mean, there's got to be a point. I don't know what happens. Do you default as a state? I mean, what happens?
That's a weird, people always like to compare Chicago to Detroit as far as bankruptcy. But what people forget about is that when Detroit went bankrupt, Michigan, the state, stepped in and was a huge part of it. Well, we can't really do that here because Illinois, as a state, is also broke. So it's like, it's a broken house, not necessarily like, the dad bailing out the son, the whole house is broke. So it would be diving into a different precedent of law.
Do you know the numbers, the percentages of people that are leaving the state?
It depends how you look at it. So we track it as migration. So as far as residents leaving, Illinois' population actually went up if you count international migrants, so from other countries. But in terms of Illinoisans who have lived here moving out, it is down by 30-ish thousand year over year.
So J.B. Pritzker has he's kind of dared Tom Homan, the borders are, and you come into my state, we're a sanctuary state, and we're going to stay that way. Are people worried about that confrontation if it happens?
So the numbers of daily arrivals has gone down. The peak of it was in the summer of last year, and 2 years ago. That's when people were really most concerned about it. But those numbers have gone down. They're talking about how to, locations for these migrants coming in. But for state lawmakers now, it's unfortunate because they kind of have an excuse to go, see, our population is growing, but it's a misleading way to phrase it because there's still lots and lots of families leaving.
Dylan, I might be incorrect in this exact number, but since J.B. Pritzker has been governor since 2019, he's raised taxes like 38% or something like that. Is that about roughly the number?
So there's a few ways to look at it. If you go off of, like, say, the gas tax, it's doubled. He doubled it in his first year, and obviously actually more than doubled because he doubled it just in his first year, and it's gone up every year since then. So on gas taxes, it's gone up more than that. Our property taxes were number one in the country, but that's there's local government involved in that too. So I wouldn't pin that entirely on him. But when you're paying the bills to the local government or the state, it's people's budgets eating away either way.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question is we sit in Missouri and we look at that and we think to ourselves, and you keep electing the same type of people into that office, into those multiple offices in the government year after year.
Yeah, a lot of incumbents. It's very easy to win re-elections. It's one of the things that we try and help people do at Illinois Policy is help people get on the ballot, because from 2012 to 2022, that's when we started our ballot access program, Run Illinois. Half of state house races were uncontested, meaning that people, when showed up on election day, there was only one name. So you really don't give people a choice when there's only one name on the ballot.
And the gas tax, I mean, I'm no genius, okay? I'm no politician, but doesn't anybody say when they're discussing raising the gas tax again in Illinois to say, well, what's going to keep people just from coming over and getting gas in Missouri, which is what they do.
They do all the time.
So it's a double
loss. Exactly what they do. Yeah. And so exactly. And that's one of the things that they're feeling now. One of the ways they're raising revenue for this new budget is through sports betting. But what they don't understand is it could backfire in that there are illegal ways to bet on sports. And if people start doing that and they're not contributing anything to taxes, you're actually losing money in the long run because people are contributing less than they were before.
Well, Dylan, we were driving down through Illinois, south to Tennessee and to Kentucky to see our daughter. And we it was part of our plan to avoid getting gas in Illinois at all costs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's worth it. I mean, if you can time it right to where you have enough in your tank to get across, yeah, by all means, do it.
So Ken brought up, you keep electing the same people. J.B. Pritzker has grown Illinois' budget by $16 billion and enacted over 50 tax hikes, but yet people still vote for him.
Yeah.
At one point, and now he wants to run for president.
Right.
Who's still doing it? Why aren't people saying, "Oh my God, I just can't afford to live here"?
They're moving out, Vic. They are. I mean, but again, you have people that love their town. They love their farm. They love their property. They don't want to leave.
Yeah, like you said, people don't want to do it. Like if you looked at the hottest housing markets on Zillow, in the top 10, you have Indianapolis, St. Louis, and Kansas City. So 3 out of 10 are not that far from Illinois. And one of the reasons lawmakers, when these taxes they talk about it, they go, well, we think people are leaving because of the weather. I've been to Indianapolis and St. Louis, and their weather, they're not tropical destinations. But they're not going to Bermuda.
Right. It's not a cruise.
Well, what are the bottom? What are the bottom cities? Are they in Illinois? Or any of them in Illinois?
I don't think Zillow doesn't want to advertise, but I would imagine Chicago is down there. Yeah.
Why should they be honest?
Exactly.
So the corruption too in your state, Dylan. I hate like this. I feel like we're just beating you up.
No, I hate that. Yeah.
But the corruption is just incredible. In 2010. I worked at a station in Illinois, in Bloomington Normal, Illinois, and I was doing the governor coverage. And I think the guy's name was Bill Brady, possibly running for governor against Pat Quinn.
Yep.
And I was doing the election coverage from Brady's headquarters, and he was leading, when I tell you, Dylan, the whole night by some big numbers. And then, oopsie daisy, here comes the Cook County numbers, and Pat Quinn won. There's something going on.
I don't know. Cook County's still pretty big. So Cook County is about 5 million out of 12 million in the state. So if you can carry a majority there,
wow,
it's a huge head start. And we had a Republican governor not long ago in Bruce Rauner. So I think there's a lot of people in the suburbs who are persuadable. The question is, does Illinois just have a right candidate who can go up against the bankroll with Pritzker?
Do you encourage people to who are conservative, especially fiscally conservative, to run for office in your state? Does that ever come up?
We give people the options if they want to, for not just for a state office, but local school board too. If you want to do there, that's
where
a lot
it starts.
Where politicians start their careers as local school boards.
Well, Dylan, how about IllinoisPolicy.org? To our listeners, if you want to go over and check it out and support them, because they're in the fight, and especially if you're in Illinois, you can get a lot of information at IllinoisPolicy.org. Dylan, can you give us an idea of what you can expect when you go there?
Yeah, so we have our new content all the time, but if you want to get stuff just delivered to you, we have a newsletter sign up on our website called The Morning Briefing, and in there we include our stories as well as other stories from the top outlets around the state.
Yeah. Well, we have a second to read a couple of these, I guess. Somebody said you can't leave Illinois easily because you can't sell your home to anybody.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. And one of the other issues with housing in Illinois is that we're one of the worst states as far as building new housing units for people, for the few who do want to move here, or maybe someone within the state wants to move to a different part. Even compared to other big states like New York and California, the rate that we approve new housing permits is so much lower. It gives people fewer options, and the prices go up because there's fewer options, and people just don't want to come here altogether.
Somebody else said, I know quite a few union workers in Missouri who are from Illinois. They freaking hate it there, but mostly because they have long histories there and don't want to leave because of their family histories.
Yeah, they have family ties, of course. It's hard to put a dollar value on that, but a lot of people that I talk to are moving. Their kids went to school here, but then their kids go to college in a different state. Then their kids get a job in a different state, and then they're left here. And it's like, well, if my kids aren't here anymore, what's the point? They love their house, they love their homes where they raise their kids, but they just want to have some more time with their families, and who can blame them?
Have we mentioned how cool your name is? Dylan Sharkey? That's a cool name, isn't it?
Thank you. Thank you.
That's like, sounds like Dylan Sharkey sounds to me like the guy at the poker table who wears that kind of visor that deals poker to the rest. All right, dealer Dylan Sharkey, put up your bets. Let's go. I guess you don't talk like
don't ruin all my. That's all my. Don't give out all my.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, Dylan Sharkey, when he's not dealing poker, assistant editor at Illinois Policy Institute. Go find out. What was the website? I know you just asked.
IllinoisPolicy.org.
Okay,
that's right.
Illinoispolicy.org. Thanks for your candor today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
You know, it takes some guts to get on a station in Missouri to talk about how much your home state sucks.
And we just want to help. But we want to get the information out there to people.
But they don't look at it like that, Ken. They're not trying to help. You're trying to make fun of us.
No, I know. But not our listeners.
No, the people they're making fun of.
Right.
Boss Tweed there. Fat Boss Tweed.
That's right.
I can't believe J.B. Pritzker is actually fatter than that.
That's a lot.
Whoosh.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Basement with a Y. That's Basement E.
It's Basement T.
Basement E?
It's Basement T.
Oh, Basement T. Basement T. I get it. That's the basement waterproofing and foundation repair experts at Woods Basement Systems.
Right. The All Things Basement T experts at Woods Basement Systems will provide you a free estimate and dry up that wet basement and fix that cracked foundation. Call 800-388-9326 or go online to woodsbasementsystems.com.
That's woodsbasementsystems.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Prosecutors say the Egyptian national, the illegal alien accused of trying to burn people to death in Boulder, Colorado, says he wanted them all to die, had no regrets, and if he could, he'd do it again. The victims had gathered peacefully in support of Israeli hostages in Gaza when they were attacked by a man with a flamethrower who was also hurling Molotov cocktails. President Trump said to be outraged by the attack.
And it is unacceptable to this president and this White House.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. The suspect, 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Solomon, faces a raft of state charges as well as a federal hate crime charge, but he made one appearance.
Solomon appeared in Colorado Judicial Court on Monday.
Concerning Mohammed Suleiman.
The court issued a protective order, meaning Solomon didn't contact any of the victims, but he is still behind bars.
The court previously set bond on the written affidavit. It is set at $10 million cash only.
Authorities say in court papers that the 45-year-old had planned the attack for more than a year, targeting what he described as, quote, a Zionist group, end quote. I'm Donna Warder.
America is hiring. Job openings hit 7.4 million in April. Surprisingly strong report shows the American economy remains resilient despite so many gloom and doom predictions. Key to the Trump agenda, the president's so-called Big Beautiful Bill is before the Senate now after recently clearing the House. There are some Republicans less than thrilled with the measure. Kentucky's Rand Paul is among them. While he supports parts of the bill, he says it adds too much to the already enormous federal deficit. On Wall Street this hour, stocks are higher. The Dow trading about 52 points higher. The Nasdaq is up 134. The S&P better by 19. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher, host of the Mike Gallagher Show here. And when it comes to mortgages, I only trust the team that's helped me and my family more than once, Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. These guys are friends, believers. They built a company on biblical values that actually puts you first. In today's economy, with everything costing more, you need a lender who can help you make smart, strategic moves when it comes to real estate. Need cash for home improvements? Thinking about a HELOC or a refi to consolidate debt? Well, Fellowship Home Loans can help you do it faster and for less. Why? Because they're a direct lender, not a broker. No middleman. No unnecessary fees. That means fewer hoops, less waiting, and real answers from real people who care. Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or just exploring your options, Fellowship Home Loans will tailor everything to your unique needs. Get started at fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
This hour of Newstalk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
An isolated shower or thunderstorm possible today, but most of that action holds to our west, so we have a lot of dry time. Partly cloudy, warm, and humid this afternoon, up to 89. South wind at 15 to 20, could gust as high as 30 miles per hour. This evening and tonight, scattered thunderstorms likely weakening as they move in, down to 70 for the overnight low. On and off rain and storms again for Wednesday, which will knock temperatures down. Tomorrow's high at 80. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Hour number 2, ready to roll. Thanks to Kenny Williams. Here we go.
Thanks, Vic.
Hey, man. Thanks for doing all this crap. Coming up at 10:41, Drew Thomas Allen, who always has some great things to say, and he doesn't care who he replies to on X. He'll just say, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And if it's the president himself, say, no, you're wrong.
Sorry, you're wrong.
11:05, day 2 of Vic for Vets. And what that is basically is us honoring people who have served this country, dead or alive, by the way. We started yesterday with my dad. I know it's very selfish of me, but, he's my favorite veteran. And so we're going to honor another veteran at 11:05, and I did that yesterday about my dad, and Ken is going to do one today because it's for his uncle. And if you have a veteran that you want to honor on Vic for Vets, just send his information, name, branch, rank, maybe a brief story about that person, and then we'll read it all month long, because around these parts on this here radio, we honor veterans in the month of June, and that is that. All right. Our next guest is a guy we all know and love. He is U.S. Representative Eric Burlison. Congressman, thanks. We always talk to your wise-ass communications director, but it's good to have you on the show.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, our pleasure. So many things to talk about. Let's talk about President Trump. Let's go back even further. President Trump had a great first term, right? 16 to 20. Joe Biden comes in and just dissolves and erases everything that Donald Trump did. Not because he thought they were bad, I don't think, just because Donald Trump did it. So we got to change it.
And we're finding out Joe Biden really didn't do it himself, but, that's beside the point.
That's coming up later.
Okay.
We're not going to do that now. We're going to do that in a little bit. So
sorry.
Yes. Do it.
Ken, Thunder Stealer.
Ken's a Thunder Stealer. He can't help it. So President Trump comes back into office. Executive orders go back into place. Now, what's the process and how long will it take? And can we codify those EOs?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. In my opinion, in the 2.5 years I've been in Congress, the one thing I've learned is that Congress is pathetic. And we members mostly operate about what's going to get them reelected and what's popular, as opposed to doing what's right. Trump kind of breaks that mold. He is demonstrates courage, a willingness to do what's right, especially in I'd say Trump 47. And I think we're only going to see things get better. But at the end of the day, the reason why we have not, implemented these executive orders and made them permanent is frankly because we have a bunch of weak members who are moderates. They care more about getting reelected. And look, my view is, I think it's short-sighted. I think that the American people, when they see an elected official be courageous and do what they know is right, and if they know that that person is acting not on self-influence, but on what they know is the right policy, I think that the public will respond positively towards them, even if it means hearing the negative news that, yeah, we can't spend as much as we used to spend, and yeah, we have to cut some of these programs. So that's what we need to do. Right now, I think the American people need to give more members of Congress the political courage to do the right thing.
Yes. And not to mention, you mentioned because they want to get reelected. Well, the best way to get reelected is to get an endorsement from President Trump, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is really a force, and it's my hope that we get to this reconciliation bill to the point where, when you hear the moderate members screaming and the liberals screaming, that's probably a good thing. That would be your first indicator this is a good thing.
All right. Let's talk about auto pen gate. So with the auto pen, and I just learned this week that the auto pen is an actual contraption that looks like a spirograph, and you stick the pen in there and it signs what you want it to sign. And I assume it's that because you want it to be in ink, right? Not a reproduction on a computer. But my God, I mean, not only did Joe not sign it, he didn't even know what it was that somebody else was going to sign.
That's right. And we've heard that from whenever Mike Johnson went and met with Joe Biden and was specifically bringing up some of the environmental executive orders that Biden had implemented and the devastating impact on our industries in the United States. Biden, he had no idea what the speaker was talking about. He had no idea that he had, quote unquote, signed an executive order. So I think that's one example, and it's probably maybe the only example we're going to get until we start an investigation, because they kept him under guard.
Yeah.
They protected him so much from anybody that might see the flaws or see that the emperor has no clothes.
Representative, can we look forward to some hearings on this?
I believe so, yes. I'm on the Oversight Committee. Chairman Comer is aggressively pursuing this. And if I know anything about Chairman Comer, he's got all of his ducks in a row, and he's got whistleblowers and some documents ready to go. So
Josh Hawley, Senator Hawley from our state as well, had a whistleblower tell him, this one sounds like comedy, but I swear to God, he got lost in his own closet. I mean, first of all, how big is the closet? And can you stop for directions? Make a left at the shoes and then a right at the shirts. I mean, how do you get lost in a closet?
I have no idea. I want to see that closet.
Yeah, no kidding.
That closet. I was walking into the West Wing a couple weeks ago and asked the staffers there, I said, so is this and I knew because I'd had a briefing from the FBI about the cocaine in the White House. And I said, this is the locker cabinet area, right? Where the cocaine was found. They didn't know. And I said, yeah, it was found in locker number 50. You go and take a look and you'll find it. There's a lot, I think, that happened. That's just an example of a lot that happened that Joe Biden had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
In his own house.
Yep, I believe that. I believe it was like a free for all. I can only imagine it would be like a free for all there at the White House with Joe Biden sleeping all day.
We're talking to U.S. Representative Eric Burlison, and let's talk about the big beautiful bill. It's big, it's beautiful, it's big beautiful bill. You have a great post on X. And your comments are, the math doesn't lie, but Washington does. The spending cuts aren't just necessary, they're overdue. So my first question, before we get into the cuts and some of the things that you say in this video, How late is it? You know, how much time is left on the clock if we don't do these cuts?
I don't think there's much time left. I mean, Epic, which is a think tank that is, these are people that used to work for the White House under 1.0. These individuals have done a study where they indicate that we have about 18 trillion in headroom right now on our national debt. So we're sitting at 37 trillion. We accumulated the last 20 very quickly. So if we keep up at the same pace, we're going to end up in a debt spiral. And you're already seeing the flaws, the cracking of our economic system and our financial stability when you see the downgrades of our bond rating. Traditionally we're taking out debt at a rate of about 5% over the last 50 years. That's the average. Because of the low, unusually low interest rates from before, during those COVID years, rates were around 3%. So the federal government is enjoying right now a 3% rate on our debt of 37 trillion. And that's not sustainable, because now we know as we renew those debts, the existing debt, not adding new debt, but just renewing the existing debt payments, it's going to go up to the 5% or 4.5% to 5% that is normal. And when you see that happen, right now we're paying 20% of every dollar we bring in. We're paying 20% just to pay the interest on the debt.
That's amazing.
And when the interest goes up to 5.5%, God help us, because it will be crushing to the United States. Your dollar, which it currently is worth about 80 cents of what it was before COVID. Okay. Just imagine. And if that happens, you're looking at your dollar being worth a fraction of what it was today.
So what does that mean in real terms, right? To the family that's living paycheck to paycheck, what does it mean to them?
It means like the pain that you're feeling right now when you go and you buy, just a Happy Meal, or and it's painful, right? And you just can't believe the numbers. Just get ready and buckle up, because it's only going to get much worse, and it's only going to accelerate. And the only solution is the pain, and it is pain for politicians, but the only solution is to cut spending. If we cut spending, we take out less debt. When we're taking out less debt, we're no longer on the market buying these bonds, or we're buying debt. And as a result, the private sector, which is out there competing with us for debt, those rates will naturally go down. You don't even the Fed doesn't have to lower interest rates for this to happen. The interest rates will naturally go down because of the market. In addition, inflation will go down. So if you want to solve the inflation problem, if you want to solve the spending problem, you got to cut spending.
Well, this is why, Representative, that they need to get behind Doge and its initiative and the whole idea of Doge, and create make that a department that they're going to keep forever, because they're cutting stuff that doesn't need to be spent. I mean, money that does not need to be spent by the government, right? I mean, these are billions of dollars that they're cutting, so that's saving us money. I don't know how else to say it. It just sounds so obvious, but
it is obvious.
It is, absolutely. Now, you got two different things to keep in mind. You have discretionary spending, you have mandatory spending. And what we just did with reconciliation is the mandatory spending. And the best way to explain is that mandatory spending is the structural policy, the laws that are in place, the tax codes that are in place, that Congress has no real direct authority over when it comes to spending. So when you file for Social Security when you retire, it's not like Congress appropriates that money. It stands appropriated. That's mandatory spending. And we are being eaten alive in all the mandatory spending when it comes to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, these carbon tax credits, and all of that. That's all mandatory. And if we cut all of discretionary spending, we would still be spending more than we're bringing in because of just mandatory spending alone. So you have to touch mandatory spending. I think that we did so as much as we possibly could without getting to the point where, the moderates and liberals were screaming. But it's my hope that the Senate is able to take that reconciliation bill and cut further But then you're right. The discretionary spending, we've got tremendous opportunity to be able to implement those DOGE cuts. The question is, will Congress have the spine to do it?
Well, we're talking to U.S. Representative Eric Burlison. It doesn't help when a dishonest, liberal media says, Donald Trump's going to take away your Social Security. And this isn't something new, okay? My father's been dead for 22 years. And years ago, he said to me, George Bush is going to take away my Social Security. I said, Dad, where did you hear that? Oh, Katie Couric told me, And now with social media, everybody's a Social Security expert. Everybody's got all the answers. So Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you can cut from those without actually hurting anybody who is entitled to those, who are hurt,
that's right,
who are poor, right? But I don't hear a lot of talk, and maybe I'm wrong. You tell me. I can't get much closer to the top than you. I don't hear much talk about SSDI, right? Social Security Disability Insurance. I'm telling you, you can go into those files and find people that have nothing wrong with them, and they're collecting Social Security Disability Insurance, Representative.
100%. And the whole scheme is corrupt. You got to pay these attorneys to get you in those situations so they can get an avocado to be able to collect disability.
Right.
It's really a scheme, and it's sad because it's sad that we basically put a financial incentive out there to motivate people to not work.
That's
and
right.
Look, there's more satisfaction than the paycheck when it comes to a job. And I know a lot of people who are quadriplegic. I know of people who are quadriplegic who still work, right? They find a way to use what God gave them and be productive with it. And I think that whenever you compare some of these individuals who would do anything to have the abilities that a lot of these people that are collecting disability have, they would be grateful. And so, but the truth is, even if you take away that program and disabilities in general, we have the able-bodied young male adult population, working age young men, 20s, 30s, 40-year-old men who are not working. 20% of that population, they're not on unemployment. These are people that have checked out of the workforce. They don't want to work.
Yeah.
And the reason is that we're paying their health care. We're giving them TANF money. We're giving them food stamps. They're getting tons of benefits outside of that. They automatically get money just for filing their taxes, even if they have no income. We are basically creating a class of individuals that are living very well off of taxpayer dollars and not having to work.
And we know this because over the last, Mr. Representative, over the last 3 or 4 years, they get on social media and there's a flood of people with videos saying, "Oh yeah, we get all this stuff for free, and you can't do anything about it. So shut up."
And to bolster what you said, Representative, can I take us back to the Children's Miracle Network when we used to do the radiothons at Children's Hospital?
Oh yeah.
I was talking to a girl, Congressman, who had cerebral palsy. I mean, nothing worked, right? She had to work her wheelchair with her hands. And I asked her, tell me your story. Well, they told my mother that I wasn't going to live. And then they said, well, she'll probably never talk. And then, well, she'll probably never walk. And, and now she has a job, a good paying job. She goes, tell me what else I can't do. That's the attitude that we need, right?
Yes.
God almighty.
I love that.
It's so easy.
I love that. Where did that attitude go?
Right.
Where did it go?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
The greatest generation would have never tolerated that. I had a great grandfather who lost his leg in an ice house, and he cleaned out houses for a living. Right? He didn't go and get on government programs. It's
wow.
This is way back in the day, but I mean, it's a different culture, and the problem is, I think government, we politicians, if we want to look to blame somebody, blame the politicians who are weak and only want to get reelected, because they're the ones that are creating and cultivating this culture of people that don't want to work.
All right. Final thing, and this is probably the most important thing we'll talk about during this entire conversation, is in our evil plan to get President Trump on the show, we have an official bakery of the show, and it's Trolley Stop Bakery. And we're kind of like this. So what we're going to do is send Nate a couple of boxes of cookies because he wants some. I mean, we're just going to send one box. Nate wants some
for you and Nate.
Right. You and Nate can share that one box, but the other box, if you can kind of sneak it into the Oval Office and say, hey, this really great conservative MAGA show would love to have you. That'd be great. Is that okay?
I'll see what I can do.
Perfect.
All right.
Sounds great.
Representative Eric Burlison, thank you so much. Say hi to your wise ass communications director for us, okay?
Yeah, we love him.
I will. Thank you, guys.
You got it.
Take care.
All right, now he's heard the plan.
He's heard it now.
He's heard the plan.
That's right.
Now Thursday,
Now he's a part of it.
When we get, that's right, he's a conspirator. When we get Nate back on the air, the representative knows about it, so now we can get our evil plan in place. All right, now you made me think of something.
Okay.
You know how, like, when it's dark and you take a flashlight, put it under your chin, you look scary?
Oh, yeah.
Especially to a little kid.
Oh.
So I used to go to my girls, I used to go, "Mwah-ha-ha-ha," and the girls used to try to do it and then go, "Moo-ha-ha." It wasn't quite so scary.
Not quite.
Not quite so scary. All right, Drew Thomas Allen coming up at 10:41. Thanks so much for being with us. Don't forget Vic for Vets at 11:05 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Stream the Vic Porcelli Show at News Talk STL. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
How dare you?
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. This Dr. Randy Tobler segment is brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer, 636-978-0226, or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Attention all gun enthusiasts, don't miss the big St. Louis County Gun Show, June 20th through 22nd at the STL Athletic Center in Fenton. Over 450 tables of pistols, handguns, rifles, log guns, shotguns, ammo, and more. The fun starts Friday, June 20th at 4, continues all weekend. Admission $14 and good for the entire weekend. Kids 12 and under get in free. With discounts for veterans, first responders, and anyone that mentions Aaron sent me. The big St. Louis County Gun Show, the weekend of June 20th. More info at bkpromotions.us.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Attention reptile lovers, ready to discover your next scaly friend? Welcome to the Show Me Reptile Shop, your ultimate destination and exotic pets, with 3 convenient locations in Troy, St. Peters, and Springfield. We have an amazing selection of snakes, lizards, turtles, and more. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or a curious beginner, we've got the perfect pet waiting for you. Show Me Reptile Shop. Visit us in Troy, St. Peters, or Springfield, and online at showmereptileshow.com.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Be cool, honey bunny. Be cool.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Stop it and play it again. It always works when you stop and play it again, right? Good. Okay.
No, of course not.
That's okay. We can just translate. That was supposed to be MSNBC's Rachel Madcow.
Let me try it one more time.
Go ahead.
Sounds great.
I don't know how that happened.
Amazing. I don't know.
This is the year 2025, isn't it?
Yeah.
We are like midway through, a quarter of the way through the 21st century, and audio doesn't play because of why? I don't know. He's on third, and wait, what?
No, I don't know.
So Rachel Maddow, she's just thinking out loud, and she says, she wants to know if you think there are benefits to arresting and deporting illegal aliens. This is such a stupid concept, Ken. Do we think there are benefits to arresting and deporting illegal aliens? Let me ask you, Rachel, are there benefits to following the Constitution of the United States? Are there benefits to that?
I would also ask her, what are the benefits of them coming here and using our resources? Because that's what's happening. They're not, she makes it sound like they're coming here and they're getting their jobs and they're becoming Americans. They're not assimilating in any way, shape, or form. They're living off of the people who work hard every single day here.
That's right. And asking if there's benefits to arresting and deporting illegal aliens, you could also say, do you think there are benefits to arresting drug dealers and murderers? Do you think there's a benefit to just let Al Capone go and do what he wants to do and kill as many people as he wants to kill?
Oh, Vic, you just made a comparison. You just made a comparison to these illegals coming in, then they're all sweethearts.
All right.
I don't know how you could do that.
I don't know. Just a jerk. I'm just a great big jerk. Hey, I don't know if you caught it, but when we were talking to Congressman Burlison, when I said, let's talk about the big, beautiful bill. It's big, it's beautiful. It's a big, beautiful bill. I think he chuckled a little bit when I said that.
He did. Yeah, he liked it.
So anyway, getting back to the arresting and deporting illegal aliens, I'm sorry, if you're sick of me telling some stories, please tell me, okay? Because they just keep coming up. The stories just keep coming up. When I was growing up in New Jersey, the New York television stations would run what we call public service announcements. Have you seen an illegal alien? They would call them illegal aliens. Do you know of an illegal alien living in your neighborhood? Call this number and let us know.
Yeah. Oh no, I remember that well. But here's again, this is the words are what creates thought, and they control the words, so therefore they can have power over thought. And what I mean by that, Vic, is when you just said that, you said illegal aliens. Now that's supposed to be an extreme negative now, right? But it's not. They said it is. The left said that if you say illegal alien, you are racist. They said it. We didn't say that. So that's why we continue to say that name.
But by definition, both of those words describe exactly what they are.
Exactly right. But they changed it at some point. Remember? I mean, you said it yourself. It used to be, that's what we said all the time.
Right.
So somewhere along the way, the Democrats, somebody on the left decided to get together and say, we're going to change this narrative now. That is bad. Okay. Now, we need to say is, no, illegal aliens are what they are. Shut up, sit down, and enjoy it.
Arthur Miller, the famous playwright, wrote a play called A View from the Bridge. And this A View from the Bridge made a, what do they call it when you do it again? Because it was on Broadway back in the 40s, and then it came back to Broadway. What do you call it? Revival.
A revival, yeah.
Of A View from the Bridge. And I was in A View from the Bridge back in 2007.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. And I was the lead. I was Eddie Carbone. When you're in a play, you get your script. It's a little green book, and you take a highlighter and you find all your lines and you highlight all your lines. So I did that, and then I flipped through the book and everything's yellow. But the point of it is, Eddie Carbone has two illegal Italians living in his attic because they are looking for a way to stay in America, right?
Right.
And it's so funny that way back then, we had the same problems. We had people hiding illegals so that they could become citizens.
And I get the sentiment there. Okay, I just heard President Trump talking about what he's going to try and do for the people who are, like, say, for example, you have farmers who have had long time workers that are not legal in this country.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump said, go out and then we'll find a way for you to get back in legally, and so you can continue to work. Right. He's not saying we don't want you.
Right.
He's saying, Vic, yes, we need you, but you've got to do it the right way.
Correct.
Because the people who are coming in here right now, they're unvetted. I think it's really hilarious that the media right
Ken's
now
getting pissed, everybody.
Well, because it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
The media is saying, how in the world, how in God's name can a country like the United States of America have measles as an epidemic again? How could that possibly be? What happened over the last 4 years that could have made that happen? I can't even explain it. Do you know, doctor? No, I can't tell you how. Come on. And then they say the hot spot here is in Texas and Arizona and California. Why? Why could that possibly be?
Not that they're all border states, but why? I ask.
Because they're all unvetted people that came across the border and they had diseases like tuberculosis and measles. That's why. And they flew them into every state in the country. They're now measles is in Missouri.
Yeah.
Okay. Measles is here and measles is and they'll say, well, yeah, but it's highly contagious. No, where did it start? What was the genesis? It was actually in all, I think they said it was no longer even a viable danger here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But now it is. It's back. Why? Why is that? That's so weird.
I thought it was something we eradicated years ago. All right, this is a stupid analogy and a stupid reference. However, in The Godfather 2, when Vito Corleone comes to this country as a young boy, he's all alone. He's got no family.
I remember the scene, yeah.
The Don in Sicily killed his mother, his father, his brother, and he gets on this boat, and when he gets off at Ellis Island.
Mm-hmm.
And they start checking him for lice and all this stuff. And I think he's got smallpox.
Yeah, they had to quarantine him for a while.
Right. And so he had to stay there. And that's what Ken's talking about, is when people come over the right way through the ports of entry,
Mm-hmm.
and we find out you have some sort of contagious disease, you get quarantined. You're not put in cages, okay? You're not being separated from your family. You got measles.
This is what the toxic empathy thing is. They say, oh, you can't put them in quarantine. They're people.
How are they going to spread the disease in quarantine?
How could they possibly spread the disease? This is the craziness that we're living in right now, though, Vic.
I'm sorry, we strayed so far from
I know.
where I wanted to go.
I know.
Which is this Colorado scumbag who, Ken, I swear to God, when we say Ed's toy, it sounds funny and cute, but now it's dangerous.
It is very.
Because people are saying that Donald Trump wants to round up people and put them in camps, which is so disgusting to say and so disrespectful.
Untrue.
To families who had people who were murdered in Auschwitz.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the real deal is that's what they want to do, right? And these people were, how old these people were, these protesters? I'd say the average age was 80. That's how old these people, the Jewish people that were protesting,
right,
in Colorado. So first of all, pick on somebody your own size, right, and your own age. How about that?
Yeah.
And just because they're Jewish, this guy decided he was going to kill them, and he wanted to kill all the Jews. Where have I heard that before? And you have to understand that what the press, what the negative Democrat candidate tells you, what the stupid ass Facebook expert tells you, is not true. What's true is, the complete opposite, right?
Yeah.
Everything Democrats say, the opposite is true. I swear, if you say that to yourself when you hear a Democrat speak and you see somebody speak, is that person Democrat? Okay, be like, everything Democrats say, the opposite is true. Oh, he's lying.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, let's go back for a second. We have to remind people, what was J6 all about? They were incarcerated without representation for years. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of them. There were some that did a few bad things, but not what they're saying. They've had what you would call insurrection since then. But did you see Trump take everybody and throw them in jail? No. It's everything Democrats say, the opposite is true, because they did it. They were trying to. We're finding out that they were trying to spy on parents at the school board meetings and really demonize them and criminalize them for just speaking out.
People just praying silently. in front of an abortion clinic.
Yes.
Not even out loud.
No. What are you doing here? Well, I'm praying. Oh, you are?
You go right to jail.
Come with us, please.
I think you are. Ken, I know this is late, but I got the picture of Chana Bloom up on my computer, but nobody can see that. Can you put her up there for a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I swear to God, I've seen literally hundreds of little vignettes from people who lived, not just in Germany, by the way, Denmark. I mean, they spread out so far. The Hague, and the Nazis found them, and the Nazis rounded them up, and they put them on trains, and then they shaved their heads, and then they murdered them. Here she is, in the gas chamber. I swear to God, I feel like this girl is an angel that I never knew I had.
Could be.
And she's looking out for me, and she just speaks to me. This girl speaks to me. She died at 10 years old in 1940. Hold on. In 1942.
Yeah.
And I just found her now. She's my angel. Crazy? Am I crazy?
No, I get what you're saying. Totally. And she's just one example of what happened. And what this guy, they're finding out this idiot that did this thing to these people up in Colorado. He actually said, "No, I did it, and I tried to do a lot more." He had like 16 Molotov. I have trouble saying it. I'm sorry. Molotov cocktails, 16 more that he said he felt bad because he didn't use them.
You know we're playing that for Karen Thursday. We're gonna cut that out. We're gonna play that for
I
Karen.
didn't say it all the way.
Yes, you did.
And then he said he would do it again, no matter what.
And he paperwork from USAID with him.
Yeah, he had USAID paperwork in one of his cars or something like that.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to talk about this with Drew because this pisses me off. If that's all they know is that it's paperwork and there's nothing specific, I'm going to lose my mind.
I know.
If there's not something specific about the paperwork, this
Right.
is more half journalism.
Totally agree with that.
Drew's next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
As President Lincoln said,
what, do you have a cough due to cold? Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
All right. Boy, those tornadoes on May the 16th were just devastating to this community. And not just in, poorer neighborhoods, the millionaire houses in the Central West End just ravaged. And if you happen to be one of those people where the tornado came through and then you realize, oh my God, what about the roof? What does the roof look like? Well, I don't suggest you go up and take a look yourself. A, it's dangerous. B, I'm afraid of heights. I mean, it's not me. But 3, you might not really know what to look for, right? The experts,
absolutely.
Right. The experts at Connor know exactly what to look for. And you may think you need something that you might not.
In fact, when Rob was up on my roof recently, he found something that I had no idea was happening with one of my dormers, and it was starting to leak.
See that? Or there may be something that you think is fine, and it does need to be replaced. The good news is Connor will always give you an honest estimate and great quality work. And they are with you every step, including the insurance step. Okay.
Yeah.
Call them first before the insurance company. Let them get the ball rolling. Great customer service isn't even enough of a superlative for Connor Roofing. ConnorRoofing.com, CONNER roofing.com.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Another RX Watch, brought to you by Onderlaw.
There's an evil new twist in the tragic story of baby powder and its link to ovarian cancer. Recently uncovered documents reveal that talc can contain asbestos.
The same asbestos that we know causes mesothelioma.
Right, and ovarian cancer.
In the 1970s, the industry wrote its own rules, allowing Johnson & Johnson to claim that its talc was asbestos-free, as long as it contained less than 1% asbestos.
Of course, Johnson & Johnson helped write those rules. So while we're using hazmat suits to remove the asbestos from our homes, Johnson & Johnson was telling women it's safe for their bodies.
Unbelievable. So if you've used talcum powder for feminine hygiene and contracted ovarian cancer, call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
They've already won several large verdicts against Johnson & Johnson for women just like you.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH. That's 1-800-RX-WATCH or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
The Napoli heritage of fine dining continues with Napoli Kirkwood. Napoli Kirkwood, now open. So add that to Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. And don't forget about Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district, Chesterfield Valley. All of those locations, plus now, open Napoli Kirkwood.
Fox News commentary.
Assaults on NYC cops have skyrocketed 63% over the last 6 years, and it's no wonder why. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Biological male just won 2 California state titles in women's track and field. A.B. Hernandez, a biological teen boy, took not 1 but 2 state titles, high jump and triple jump, away from the girls competing in their own category. California tried to appease the rightfully outraged critics by implementing some cockamamie consolation plays for women and girls displaced or robbed from their spot due to a male competitor. That's not going to cut it, though. I'll add that rule change also punctuates the reality of male advantage in sports. President Trump issued a stern warning to California that they better comply with his executive order or else lose federal funding. And I hope the or else comes crashing down on that state and its governor sooner than later. Why should women and girls take a backseat to trans athletes? Why are their feelings less important? Make it stop. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Lambert Airport wants to ban a new rideshare company unless they get a share of the profit. David Stokes of Show Me will join us at 4:20 to break it all down.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Hi, this is Yakov Smirnov, and you're listening to Vic and Ken on Vic Porcelli Show on the Newstalk STL.
What exactly are you laughing at there, Smirnoff? You know, a joke that he told us while I wasn't even a joke. We were just talking. And he said he had a daughter, and he wanted to give her a really American name, so they named her Brandy Smirnoff. So all alcohol, front and last name. That's why we do it in the Soviet Union.
That's right.
That's the Drew guy.
Drew Allen of the Drew Allen Show podcast.
It's people who love this country and respect freedom and want to preserve it for the future. You know, it really shouldn't be political.
Amico mio, come stai?
Ciao, buongiorno Ciccio, sono molto contento.
Buongiorno. I think that's how I said it in the chorus.
Let it go, Vic.
Buongiorno.
Let it go.
Hi, Drew. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. My 2-year-old daughter speaking Italian better than you. I've got her saying buongiorno in the morning.
Buongiorno.
Can you find somebody else?
Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning. Sorry, that's not a good way to start things off. I've missed y'all. It's been a week.
It has been.
Can you find somebody else for this spot?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe someone who doesn't speak Italian. That'd be helpful.
Oh.
Well, it's not that you speak Italian, but if we're on such a wise ass, then it would be just fine.
It's the attitude. It's the attitude.
I love
totally
the
get it.
attitude,
You're right.
Drew. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I can't come on and insult the host.
No, you can't. All right, stop it now.
sorry.
Stop screwing around.
Everybody.
Okay, so here's something that a double piss me off thing. Okay, the guy from Egypt, Mohammed Sabri Soliman. The media couldn't call him a terrorist. He comes from Egypt. He had all those incendiary devices. But
what are you saying?
I'm saying that they could just call him a terrorist from the beginning. But now the thing is, he had USAID paperwork with him. That's point number one. Point number two, don't tell me that and not tell me specifically what it is. And that's what the report just, just paperwork. That's like a timesheet, Well, what was the paperwork?
Yeah. I mean, why is there an association to USAID? Also, does that have to do with how he was sponsored to stay here for a little while? Although I do want to be clear, he was here illegally. He was supposed to leave the country in March, and he didn't. So therefore, he was here illegally. He had violated, the terms of that agreement, that visa that he was given.
Oh,
He
yeah.
got a couple different ones. This guy, obviously, he wasn't necessarily on the radar for terrorism or anything like that, which is actually scary. It's scarier to me that this guy wasn't on some sort of list than it would be if he was on a list and, he stayed here, because how many other people, how many Mohammeds are there in this country that Joe Biden let in here that could carry out something like this or worse, an October 7th style attack. But I turn on CBS. Well, I just turn on my TV and CBS is on. I don't need to explain why. But anyway, CBS comes on. It's on there. And it's not interesting. It's just whatever. So CBS is on there. So I catch, a few seconds of that media. And there was a woman on. And, of course, she was doing everything she could to insist that, this person was here legally. There's nothing wrong. Because, the last thing these Democrats can acknowledge and admit and allow to happen is a realization that, yes, people should be deported. And yes, Donald Trump is right. And so, that's why these arguments, he wasn't here illegally, just like the MS-13 gang member. I mean, these people really, guys, I know it's cliche, but, these people hate this country so much that they would side with these people over the American people. If they would fight to defend the indefensible. And that's what's happening here. It's just the left is just disgusting. They're totally lost. They're broken.
So listen, all that stuff we just said, illegal alien, visa expired, all that stuff. Let's just hypothetically say the guy was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and he's lived here his whole life. And he went to this Colorado thing with weapons to kill a bunch of Jews. Still not okay, whether he's a citizen or not.
Right.
Yeah, and I saw probably one of the dumbest posts in history from Adam Kinzinger about how, the Congress needs to look into how much money has been diverted to look into Hispanics, was his response to this, which I'm like trying to even comprehend like what his point is with the X post, like the MS-13 gang members, we should look into what this guy would have been caught if Trump wasn't deporting other people who were here illegally as well. What is he trying to say? These people are idiots.
Going back to this paperwork that they found on this guy, are the three of us the only three that are wondering, what was the paperwork? What was written on the paperwork?
Yeah.
Why can't we find that out? What's the problem?
Well, it's an astonishing connection because we know that USAID was basically just a slush fund for Democrats to carry out their nefarious schemes. and to do great damage to this nation. And so it wouldn't surprise me if USAID was used in some capacity also to uplift somebody like Muhammad, who was an Egyptian national screaming free Palestine, trying to light, well, then he did light elderly Jews on fire in Colorado.
Well,
and, MSNBC tried to call him white.
Yeah, they sure did at first. But it's not like you have to try and weave these connections together. You've got Ilhan Omar, you've got Presley, Ayanna Presley. You've got a whole list of people who are leaders in the Democrat Party who are saying that they want to free Palestine. They don't like Jewish people, basically. They're anti-Semites, and yet they don't want to put that together with NGOs and USAID. And now this guy.
Well, and to your point, to both y'all's point, this is why the media is in a frenzy trying to cover this up effectively and downplay it and make it about other things or generic anti-Semitism or whatever else, because that's the point. There is a connection between the Democrat Party and radical, Islamicism, terrorism in this country. You know, this proves that Donald Trump has been demonstrably right. Like all this fighting they've been doing in narrative-wise about, you know, protests at Harvard and other Ivy League schools and defunding and talking about how dangerous these universities have been, taking away visas, right? They've tried to make that some kind of campaign issue for the Democrats. And this incident proves that Donald Trump's right about all of it. These free Palestine movements on college campuses, this rot of our universities, it has an impact, and these people are violent, and this is the end result of it. And it's violent, it's anti-Semitic, and Trump's right. Again,
yeah.
So some of the people in the crowd, so let's just set up the scene that was there in Boulder, Colorado. There were a bunch of elderly Jewish people showing support for Israel, you know, in the street or the sidewalk or wherever they were in Boulder. And some of the people who were injured, Drew, were actually Holocaust survivors. And I'll be damned if, you know, we'll let anything happen to them after what they've been through.
Yeah.
Back then. This is nothing.
Yeah, you know, this just really infuriates me with the people on the so-called right now as well. You know their names. Some of them are very famous. We've talked about them before, who are, you know, really, accusing Israel of genocide, who are really taking, you know, trying to pretend like Hamas and Israel are the same, or in fact, Israel is worse, that they're the great enemy. You know, there's a big problem here, and it's obviously historic, and it continues to this day with anti-Semitism. And, you know, I just really don't have the stomach for that camp of people who want to pretend that, you know, Hamas controlled Gaza, you know, are the good guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, you know, the things that must just come back into these people's minds, Drew, when they were actually in a camp, survived that. 80 years later, they're being attacked by somebody who hates this person just because they're a Jew.
And our guest, Karen Cataline, that's why she was so upset, Vic, because she comes to the United States for security, and she's feeling like there is no security here anymore, and those people were attacked then.
And by the way, she knew some of those people in Colorado.
Right.
Because she used to live there. All right, Drew. Thanks so much for being with us. How's your book doing? Your book still selling?
Yeah, book's still selling. I'll be very excited when I eventually get time to finish this other book about Italy. I'll be very nice when I talk to you about it, of course. I won't insult you.
Just spell my name right in the book, okay?
Absolutely. Vic, V-I-C-K.
Oh, there you go. You nailed it, man.
You know what's funny about that? I don't know one Vic that spells it V-I-C-K. Only the cough drops, and that's not somebody's name.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
All right, guys.
All right. Drew, thank you so much. Kiss that baby for us, okay?
Will do. Talk soon.
Take care.
Take care, Drew.
Show off. His 2-year-old daughter knows more Italian than I do.
I bet she does, too.
There's no doubt. I'm sure he talks to her in Italian all the time.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing about people that come to this country from other countries. Right away, right off the bat, they're smarter than I am because they're bilingual.
Yeah, right.
You know, I barely know this language, much less another language, you know? Yeah, if there is going to be another language, I want it to be Italian. And I took an Italian class at a Kirkwood adult school. I remember the professor's name was Arturo Brunetti. Did you ever take a foreign language?
Yes.
You know how you got to conjugate the verbs?
Right.
And you know some of those verbs sometimes were they were irregular.
Yeah.
he would say that this is just to confuse the enemy. So it's harder to conjugate so the enemy can. But anyway, I learned very little.
Check this out.
Vic and Ken. Ken can recite the alphabet backwards. Vic can recite the alphabet forwards. The Vic Porcelli Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Bunch of crap. So, anyway, Drew Thomas Allen's 2-year-old daughter is smarter than I am. Great. Just great. Hey, stop it. Serious.
All right.
Vic for Vets is next, 11:05. We're going to remember somebody very special to my friend Ken Williams, and that is next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, #1 for live and local conservative talk.
Whoosh. We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. We're learning more about the alleged attacker in Sunday's Boulder, Colorado, alleged terror attack against a Jewish community group.
Authorities in Boulder, Colorado say suspect Mohammed Sabri Solomon had 18 Molotov cocktails when on Sunday he disguised himself as a gardener and carried out an attack on a group holding its weekly demonstration for the release of Israeli hostages. But police in an affidavit say that Solomon threw just 2 Molotov cocktails because he got scared and had never hurt anyone before.
Correspondent Donna Warder says a state court has set a $10 million cash bond. Solomon's next court hearing is set for Thursday. Also at townhall.com, former economic advisor to President Trump, Stephen Moore, tells the Salem Radio Network the GDP fell in the first quarter.
Every week or two, the Federal Reserve Bank does their own estimate of what GDP will be, which is the total output of the country, and it's the major indicator of economic growth. And after the first quarter, which was of the year, which was basically the leftovers from Biden, the economy shrank a little bit by it was negative 0.2%.
The Atlanta Fed's GDP Now model estimate is now projecting that U.S. real GDP will rise 4.6% in the second quarter of the year. This marks an increase from 3.8% on May 30th, according to the Atlanta Fed. Liberal candidate Lee Jae-myung is forecast to win South Korea's snap presidential election, according to a joint exit poll. The vote comes 2 months after conservative President Yoon Suk-yeol was removed from office over his short-lived imposition of martial law. After a stellar May, Wall Street remains on track in June. The Dow up 147 points, the Nasdaq adding 154. More at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare, and I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call. I guarantee we take you as a client. We'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-613-5454. 800-613-5454. 800-613-5454.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here, inviting you to the Bluff City Outdoor Show Fishing Pentathlon, a one-of-a-kind multi-species fishing tournament Sunday, June 8th at Carlisle Lake. There'll be several side pods, but to win, your team has to catch all 5 species of fish with the highest total weight. This unique tournament gives fishermen of all levels a chance to walk away a winner. Get more info and reserve your spot now by going to BluffCityOutdoors.com and searching tournament entry, or just go to the events tab on the Bluff City Outdoors Facebook page. The Fishing Pentathlon.
Brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood and Intervine flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and more at intervine.com.
Since 1995, Renewal by Anderson has helped St. Louis homeowners upgrade with windows and doors. Now it's our 30th anniversary sale. You'll get $1,995 off every project. No gimmicks, real savings, and the nation's best warranty. The offer ends June 30th, so you don't want to wait. There are some restrictions. Visit rbastl.com. Renewal by Anderson. Superior products, exceptional service.
Is your pup in need of a spa day? At Pretty Little Paws, we believe grooming should be a stress-free, tail-wagging experience. Our one-on-one, fear-free grooming ensures your furry friend gets the gentle, personalized care they deserve. No noisy kennels or long waits, just love, patience, and expert grooming in a calm, relaxing environment. Because a happy pup means a happy you. Pretty Little Paws, with 2 locations in O'Fallon and St. Peters. Visit us online at prettylittlepawsgrooming.com.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by the Trolley Stop Bakery, the official bakery of the Vic Porcelli Show. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
For a 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour. The weather started getting rough.
We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies.
From New Jersey to Baldwin, Missouri, 2 behind the microphone, taking the whoosh to the radical left and the putrid swamp. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show. here he is, Vic Porcelli.
Thank you very much. All right, it's time for Vic for Vets. Then we're going to talk to Dr. Tobler. Vic for Vets is this. You know what I'm talking about when I say, well, why don't our veterans get a whole month?
Right.
We've heard that talked about all the time. And the veterans get a day, and other groups and microcosms get a whole month. Well, guess what? Here at NewstalkSTL, we give the vets a whole month. We call it Vic for Vets. And every day at this time, we're going to honor somebody living or dead who has served this country. Ken?
Yeah, Vic, it's Charles Anthony McGurk. We know him as Uncle Chuck. It was my uncle. And this is a Vic for Vets Veteran of the Day during Veterans Month in America. Charles Anthony McGurk, he's from St. Louis, Missouri. He was born in 1946 on August 1st. The Vietnam War is where he fought. He was a Marine Corps Private First Class Rifleman. 3rd Marine Division, 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, C Company. He died in hostile action, Vic. I didn't know this. I thought he died by accident. The man was in battle in South Vietnam in the Quang Nam province when he passed away. Some honors of his were Purple Heart, of course, Combat Action Ribbon, Marksmanship Badge, National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Marine Corps Presidential Unit Citation, and Vietnam Gallantry Cross. And Vic, the story that I want to say, when my uncle decided to go into the Marine Corps, my mother told me the story because I was too young to know. She said, the only thing I want from you to do is to walk up the street with your dress blues on. It was a summer day, 95 degrees outside, and he did it. So there you go.
God bless him. And how old was he when he died?
19. He died in July 19th, 1966, just short by a couple weeks of 20 years old.
Uncle Chuck, our vet of the day for Vic for Vets Month in Vietnam. And by the way, we couldn't do all this stuff this month without the huge
you're right.
Without the huge support of DG Firearms and Bowling Green, Patriot, HVAC, and Best Buy Flooring with 3 area locations. So tomorrow, another vet, and we continue our month. Vic for Vets, only on NewstalkSTL.
The Dr. Randy Tobler Update is brought to you by Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Learn more about Drs. Omas and Cusimano and their team by visiting advanceddentistrynow.com.
I don't know. We've never had that looked at.
Randy Tobler.
You guys are ahead of the curve. You probably took your masks off a couple weeks before the CDC said it was okay.
Now, Dr. Randy Tobler.
What's up, Doc?
Good morning, Dr. Tobler. How are you?
I'm doing well. Boy, that's really, to hear that story is profound. It really, really makes you wonder about all the little things that worry us in life and the big sacrifices that people made and continue to make, so that we can enjoy the lives we do.
Yep.
Something
Very
else.
well said.
And that's the whole reason for Vic for Vets every day in June. And then we'll do it once a week after June, just to let people know that these people were out there being way more brave than I can ever be,
really.
October. That's that.
Make that 2 of us.
So let's talk about measles a little bit. Are you seeing a huge, absolutely rampant epidemic in Missouri of measles?
Your bias betrays you.
Oh my God, that was great.
That was great.
No, I'm not. I'm reading about it. I haven't personally seen it. I think that there have been some upticks here and there. We heard about it in Texas. And I think this morning they came out with a recommendation: if you're traveling internationally, you better get a measles vaccine.
Yeah.
Especially if you may need a booster if you were vaccinated in the mid-60s, somewhere between 63 and 67. Might be a good idea to talk to your doc about getting an update on that, or just go get the one at the health department. Make it easy.
Well, I won't have to worry about that. I don't travel overseas. I don't leave the 48 contiguous states. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, but we have a lot of, but it is a global society now where people are in and out and traveling internationally without even thinking about it. And so there will be exposures, either directly from international travelers or people who catch things from international travelers and then are infectious before they know it, and then spread it that way. So I think we'll probably see some outbreaks, some local players here and there. We'll have to see what develops over time and what the official policy becomes. I have a feeling that there might be some moderation when they do take another look at the science and look at it objectively. And I trust that Marty McAree and the people at CDC and at HHS are going to probably reevaluate things and still recommend that it's a good idea. I think what they're going to do is maybe change the aggressive scheduling that they recommend for pediatric vaccination. That's my guess.
So here's what concerns me, Dr. Tobler.
Yeah.
During COVID, when the numbers started to get bigger, the Today Show said, in Alaska, the numbers in Alaska have doubled. I swear to God, they went from 2 to 4. Not 200, 2 to 4. So it doubled to 4 people. That's the kind of news reporting we don't need.
Yeah, I think that it's everyone should probably somewhere in high school or maybe beyond or somewhere, it should be part of training to understand terms like absolute risk and relative risk. If you say that a thing that's happening at low incidence, doubles, well, it's still a low incidence. But if it's a relatively high prevalence in a population, let's say, for instance, if we were to say that, hey, diabetes is really prevalent, let's say, 15% of people in America are either diabetic or pre-diabetic, and it went up 50%. Well, all of a sudden you're talking darn near 25% of people, right? So that's a bigger percentage. But if you go from 0.5% and you double it to 1%, the absolute number of people that are affected is much lower. So these are terms that are often lost on people in the news business. And I think a lot of folks that listen to radio or watch TV casually, they are impressed by these large numbers when they say doubling and tripling, or a study cut something in half, the incidence of whatever. Well, if the incidence is already low and you cut it in half, it's still low. So we'll have to see.
That's our man, Dr. Randy Tobler. So 2 news stories today. All I did was put measles cases, United States, into Google, hit the news thing so we just get the news reports. And one says, U.S. measles total nearly 1,100 cases as Colorado reports airline cluster. And then the very next one, measles cases seem to be slowing down in the United States. What's behind it? We can't even get a straight answer on whether it's behind us or in front of us, or if it's big or if it's little.
Well, one thing about that report, irrespective of the measles story, airlines are a cluster, but we should probably return to measles. It's just
Right.
a disaster.
That's true.
So, again, these kind of things seem to go in waves. That's the way infectious diseases and viruses in particular tend to travel. They travel in waves. As people become more, together with their parties in the summer and more congregant, activities like that, you might see, these little clusters of activity. But once they become reported, and maybe that's the value to what would you call it? Propaganda or hyperbolic reporting, sensational reporting. It does get people's attention, and they probably change their behavior. Probably, people not going to movie theaters and maybe thinking about whether they were going to have, Super Bowl parties or whatever, parties during COVID probably did as much or more to reduce the spread of that than anything else, than masks or mandates or anything like that. So I think that, again, it's an absolute numbers thing that you need to think about. That said, the other thing to consider when you're looking at the prevalence of a disease and it's doubling or halving, or, the way a drug affects it or the way a government policy affects it, is what is the impact of that disease on someone, right? So if tick bites go up, double, but everyone is well aware of how to take care of tick bites, you're still going to have a little increase in certain problems that develop from that. But it's not like, a mom with a kid that lands in the hospital in the ICU with measles encephalitis, right? I mean, and so you got to look at the impact. It can be a low prevalence, but a very high stakes problem. And in that case, we probably should take, more attention to it.
All right, here, this is what bothers me, okay? During the whole COVID thing, because once you go back and you look back at it all, there should be some sort of, I don't want to trample on the First Amendment, okay? But they had the a party at the Lake of the Ozarks during COVID made national news. Why? Because it was a super spreader event, right? And then Sturgis motorcycle event. That's a super spreader event. Neither of those were true. And so, I mean, why don't you wait till you know what you're going to say and then say it on the air?
But let's keep in mind also, Dr. Tobler, what Vic's saying there. Remember when that happened, those were super spreaders because those were like red type of events.
Yeah, right.
But they had, remember all the protests and riots that were happening back then?
Right. Nobody got COVID during
Nobody
those,
got COVID during that time. Nobody.
No masks needed either, right?
No,
right.
Yeah. Okay, I think that though we need to make. I hear you, and I grant you that I think there was probably overstatement in some cases of the threat of various events. However, if you predict, I mean, Scott Bessent got all over Margaret Brennan's case because he said, look, you guys were talking about inflation going up and about the economy, recession, and blah blah blah, and look at what's really happening. Now, the problem is, while economy downfalls and hits on our 401k affect us, for the most part, they don't kill us and they don't land us in hospitals. And so it's one thing to say, I'm going to predict economic calamity. Maybe you should park your money in cash because okay, so you park your money in cash. There's no economic calamity and you missed a buying opportunity when it dipped a little bit. All right. That's different than if I'm a public health official saying, hey, don't worry about it. We have no reason to believe this is any big deal. Live your life as you've always lived it. And then it is, in fact, a problem. In fact, I know of a person whose husband died early in the COVID crisis in a church setting. It was pretty much proven by the forensic officials that it was spread simply from pew to pew during a church event. They traced it pretty carefully. And I think those kind of things give me pause to say we should ignore things like, look, with any infectious disease that has any kind of impact on your life, let's just say COVID is a bad influenza. It was worse. It was worse, gentlemen, I can tell you. I saw it personally. But let's just assume for the sake of argument that it's just a bad influenza. Well, influenza kills people. We all know it can be pretty significant. What do you do when you get a fever and you start feeling funky during the early morning and you've gone into work? You say, look, I don't know, something's wrong. My fever, I feel my skin's crawling. I feel achy all over. I better go home. We modify our behavior, right? We do that anyway. And I think that a lot of people just reflexively almost recoiled and did the other thing because the government said so. And they did it in a heavy-handed way instead of an educational, respectful way to say, look, you're probably increasing your chances of picking something up if someone has it in that incubation stage, that preclinical stage, but an infectious stage. So be careful. I knew of practices where doctors apparently had early signs of it. They didn't know it. They carried forth, and probably some people in their practices got sick, So we just have to be careful. And that, to me, is the lesson of COVID. A strong arm never works with the American people. A gentle, respectful touch works much better.
This could be completely inaccurate, but I'm going to say it anyway. What you're saying about people, well, first of all, no, nothing about what you said. Post-COVID, now, when we get a fever, we call our boss and say, boss, I got a fever. I don't want to stay home. But I'm sure plenty of people went to work with the fever before COVID and everybody was fine.
Or not. I mean, you don't know that, right? Because the infection happens after the customer service representative that has a fever, comes and helps you at the self-checkout and gives a little cough. You don't know anything about it. And, 7 days later, you're down, sick as a dog because that's where you got it. But those kind of dots are never going to be connected. And I just tend to take a common sense approach to it. If I don't have to be doing something and I think I'm getting ill, and especially if I've been around someone that's been ill, I will tend to err on the side of caution. I mean, if I was scheduled to see a movie on Sunday night and my wife was, diagnosed with COVID on a Wednesday, I'm probably not going to the movies because I know there's a preclinical stage, and I just don't want to infect other people. I think those kind of messages and those kind of scenarios would have been a better way to talk with people. It's like, hey, here's what happens. Here's you can be infectious before you know it. So you've been in close contact with someone a few days before an event. You may want to think about going to that event unless you just absolutely have to. That's all.
Yeah, Dr.
Had a better discussion.
No, I was just going to say, to Vic's point, I was one of those bad people back in the day at the River radio station. I had the flu. I think I had the temperature and everything, but I had to go in because I was production director, right? So I'm in my studio and Amanda Kepi comes in and she goes, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Well, I'm kind of hot." She goes, "Get the hell out of here."
Yeah,
she wouldn't even come into the room. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
So the thing about COVID, though, with me is when the media and everything had my wife and I convinced we were 100% going to die from COVID. And then when we started to realize that COVID wasn't really going to kill us, we went out again, but we didn't leave the house. I mean, we bought food and bags of dog food and cat food and
sandbags,
enough to eat for a week or a month. And it didn't happen. I guess all I'm asking is for the media, instead of being first, how about being right? That's all I ask.
I think you're right. And in this 24-hour news cycle where there's just, you got to fill space with content, I understand that. And that race to be the first to the press with the story. I understand that. But in the end, it doesn't help the media. And look what's happened. You're so right. I mean, they have just totally discredited themselves, not only in health reporting, but also in political reporting as well. To be fair to the media, though, by the same token, I think the CDC was beating a pretty heavy drum.
Oh yeah,
that was the thing to do. And you said something interesting. Your perception was, or you thought the media said, it's going to kill you. Well, I think the better way to put it would be it increases. Should you have, one of several, mitigating or non-mitigating factors, but complicating factors, comorbidities, you're more likely to end up with severe disease or in a worst case death if you get COVID, right?
Yes.
And so that's probably the better way to do it. It's like when people say the vaccine either worked or it didn't work. Well, no, it reduced your risk at a minimum. It reduced your risk of severe disease and probably helped prevent a few bad infections. So it's the black and white kind of a stripe that I think we need to be careful about, whether we're consuming media or whether we're broadcasting.
Well,
we got to be careful about it.
Stop being right.
I had the fat comorbidity. That was my comorbidity. I was fat. All right, Dr.
And if I were taking care of Vic, I would have said, look, so you got a few extra pounds on, Vic. You may want to be more careful than, a 20-year-old Arnold Schwarzenegger type that's healthy as a horse, right? I mean, that would have been a respectful way to say it.
That's how I looked yesterday. I woke up this morning like, oh God, look at this. I'm fat.
I know. I saw those pictures.
Dr. Tobler, 6 to 9 o'clock every Saturday, every morning on the Eagle in Columbia. Thank you so much for the expertise, Dr. Tobler.
All right. Good to talk with you.
You too.
Take care.
I blame the media for so much. Well, during the COVID era, I really do.
And they help create a vacuum because when they're wrong and they reported it wrong, then other people say, well, I'm not doing it then now.
Right,
now
right.
I've changed my opinion.
Well, my God, what a great point. So now that they lied to you then, well, you're probably lying to me now.
Right.
And now you'll get the disease that will kill you.
Exactly. And whose fault is that?
Great point. Great point. All right. Coming up next, I want to talk more about immigration. Is that okay with you, boss?
Sure, man.
All right, it's next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
Whoosh.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
But they're really criticizing science because I represent science.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
The name's Francis Sawyer, but everybody calls me Psycho. Any of you guys call me Francis, and I'll kill you. And I don't like nobody touching my stuff. Just keep your meat hooks off. By catching any of you guys in my stuff, I'll kill you.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
And any of you touch me, I'll kill you. We cut it off there, not to quite too insensitive. Who's on the phone, Ken?
Helen.
Helen, how are you? Wait, wow, have we ever met? Wait.
One time before.
Okay, don't get ahead of me. Okay, don't be a thunder stealer. I got one of those. That's kept. So, Helen, I'm not sure if we've ever had you on the air before, so just in case.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing there, Helen?
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm just making a comment. I listen to you guys all the time. Love this show. But I want to say that I love the 3-hour tour that you guys have going on now. And just want to make the comment. I think after listening to you guys, the media and the lib turds, they're kind of like all the guys on the SS Minnow. They just can't seem to get themselves, can't find their way out of the lagoon.
Helen, that is awesome. Oh, my God.
Either the swamp, the lagoon, either one. They're just kind of
Perfect. Helen, thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for calling. And
love it when he gets real feisty, too.
Oh, me too, man. I step back, though. I don't want him to throw anything at me.
Thanks, Helen.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Wow. God bless Helen.
Yeah, really, man. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Okay. So everything about that phone call was just so great. First of all, definitely a longtime listener used the term libturd, which nobody uses but us. And the 3-hour tour.
The 3-hour tour.
Right.
Right.
And she is she's right on target.
As Dan would say, she's a P1.
Yes, a P1.
P1.
Dan did used to say that.
Yeah, he did.
That's radio talk.
I know.
P1. People listen all the time.
Right.
All right. So we were going to play this coming out of commercials, but I still want to hear it. Ken, number 2, Borders Are Tom Homan. Can we do that?
Let's try it. Oh, you got to be
No.
You know what? I'm going to put a stop to this right now.
Ken's. Helen, come back.
All right, I'm going to do it right now.
He's going to throw something at me.
You ready?
Go.
Oh,
that sounds great.
No, it's not.
That's for the visually impaired. It's like it's in Braille. All right, we got to figure out what the hell's going on with our audio here. But basically, it was what our show? Something wrong with this program, meaning our show?
No, I got it right here.
Okay,
Let me try it.
Go ahead.
No, I don't know what it is, Vic. Sorry.
So what Tom Homan, the Borders I was trying to say, was you can support sanctuary cities all you want, but as soon as you cross that line of harboring or helping to conceal illegal aliens, no matter who, you will be arrested. Can I go back to that play that I was in, The View from the Bridge?
Yeah.
So Eddie Carbone lives with his wife, Beatrice, and his niece. He really likes his niece. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And two Italian illegal aliens living in the attic. And during the whole thing, the whole play, Eddie's like, you don't say nothing. You keep your mouth shut. You don't know anything. You keep your mouth shut. You know what was so good about being in this play for this particular scene? I got to eat and act at the same time.
Oh, good.
I love that.
That'd be perfect. Yeah.
And it's so funny when you watch a play, especially like community theater, we don't have money to go buy stuff. So we bought like cans of Manwich or something like that. You know, beef stew, Dinty's beef stew. That's what it was.
Okay.
And so I got to put food in my mouth and then talk with the food in my mouth. You don't say nothing. You keep your mouth shut. It was so fun. So much fun. So anyway, that's his whole vibe during the whole thing. The neighborhood knows it, right? You don't say anything about anybody that may be here illegally. And then all of a sudden, his niece starts to fall in love with one of the illegal aliens.
Uh-oh.
Then what happens, right? And he's got a very unhealthy attraction to his niece.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. And he comes home one night. He worked on the docks. And on the docks, you know, stuff that kind of fell off the boat, just kind of fell and bring it home.
Right.
So he had a couple of bottles of alcohol with him, scotch or whiskey or whatever, and he's drunk. And he comes home and there's nobody there. And then he comes out of the bedroom. I'm sorry. She comes out of her bedroom. And then he comes out of her bedroom. And he loses his mind, you know. So the whole thing, because he was trying to find anything negative to say about this guy to make his niece not like her and not fall in love with her. So he was trying to say that, well, he's gay, you know.
Oh.
but the phrase they used was he ain't right.
He ain't right.
That's
okay.
they said back in the 40s. He ain't right.
He ain't right. Okay.
So apparently he was right.
Yeah, apparently.
Because he was in the bedroom with his daughter, with his
niece.
So they come out and he's drunk, very drunk. And this was a great part about being this Eddie Carbone in this particular cast. So he goes up to the girl and he kisses her, his niece kisses her on the lips, like passionate kiss.
Yeah.
That was a great part for me. But then later he kisses the guy.
Wow. So
yes, I had to do that.
Wow.
If that's what you're asking. Yes.
Man.
Yes, I had to do that.
Oh.
But I did it with my thumbs.
Oh, okay.
Like our lips never actually touched.
Okay.
Like I took his head and I just put my lips against my thumbs.
Oh, good.
Because I'm not gay.
Right.
Not there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
So he did that and then immediately says, see, he didn't care. He ain't right. You know?
Yeah.
So we find anything to make these two not fall in love. So then what does he do? Actually, the right thing. He goes down around the corner to the phone booth and he turns them in. He calls the immigration office and turns in both of the immigrants that live upstairs.
Oh, wow.
And one of those immigrants kills him at the end. So I get to die too.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Fun.
That's awesome.
It really was a fun play. It was a fun play to be in. Were you making fun of me?
No, I'm just
What
saying,
are you saying?
Hey, it was great to die. You know, the way you said it.
How many times you get to die and
you're
talk
right.
about, how about 6 nights?
Wow. So
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Now, let me ask you this. From the first day to the last day, did you die better at the last day?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you get a little practice.
What's weird is when you're dead, you can't breathe. Like when it's a movie and somebody's dead, the camera's never on them for too long. So they
Right.
can hold their breath for that long. When you're on stage,
Oh, man. Yeah.
you know?
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Because
You don't think about it till you're dead.
They can look at you for minutes.
Right. So you got to angle people to stand in front of you just the right way.
Okay.
But it was a great cast. Actually, all 3 of my kids were in it. Marielle and Mia played little immigrant Italian kids that lived in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And Chris played one of the immigration officers that comes and arrests the immigrant, the alien. Todd Harstein.
The illegal aliens.
Todd Harstein was our Marco. And Todd is such a great guy. we were in a different play together. We were in Streetcar Named Desire together.
Yeah.
I was Steve, who lived upstairs. And I shouldn't have done this, but it was fun and everything was fine. He had a Dodger hat on. We're waiting. Both of our roles were very small. And we're in the waiting room, the dressing room. And I said, so what's with the Dodger hat? And it was, oh yeah, I just got to find. I said, no, what's with the Dodger hat? What's the story with that? Like I'm really mad that he's wearing a Dodger hat.
Right.
I swear to God, he took it off and he didn't wear it anymore for the rest of the rehearsals.
That's great. No. What's with the Dodger hat?
It was funny. You know what it was kind of like? Why am I funny? How am I funny?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that.
Right.
All right, let's get out of here. Get me out of here.
You're funny. Well, I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh. What do you mean funny?
Nobody does it better than Kenny Williams. Chat box is next on News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at NewstalkSTL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
There are a dozen NFL teams that are not showing their support for Pride Month. Some think they should be punished.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
To our brave police officers and first responders, we say thank you for risking your lives to protect us. To all the incredible volunteers who've joined hands with the David Dorn Foundation to raise funds for equipment and services, we extend our heartfelt gratitude. We stand strong with our volunteers who give their time, talent, and dedication as a shield of support for those who rush into danger. The David Dorn Foundation gives a big thank you from our heart to yours. Visit dornfoundation.com and join as a volunteer.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Vic Porcelli Show.
Thank you, Councilman, very much. Great show, by the way. I was listening to a little bit of that on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think it was actually last Sunday, going from store to Lowe's. I had to shop at Lowe's and Sam's.
Seeing you at Lowe's, it's just not a natural fit.
Right, Ken. Plus, I just want to, all right. Hey, thanks so much. Helen made my day, I got to tell you. Helen, who called?
Yeah, that was fun.
Made my day. Big time listener. Even used the term libturd, which is only heard here on this program. All right, Ken, are you ready for some chat box?
Whoosh.
Had to do that.
All right, now you know what you're going to do. All right, let's start with Facebook today. And we'll start with Allison, who just has 2 cool American flag emojis. Good morning.
Speaking of fun, that's cool.
What?
No, it was cool. That's cool. I just love it.
Good morning, gents and fellow Vic heads. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Chief. Good morning, all you Patriot MAGA loving Vic and Ken listeners. Never quite heard it that way. GMFFVH. Wonder where justice has gone. Bring back the good old days when everything was handled without hesitation. You know, it's funny. This whole Yellowstone thing, everybody watches Yellowstone.
Right.
I was going to start watching it. And then you, at your behest, I went back and watched 1883 first and then 1923. And back in 1883, they had their own justice. There was, you know what I mean? Sometimes you're out in the plains and there's not a city within 500 miles.
Right.
You gotta do your own justice. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Majority of established media is an extension of the Democrat Party. That's from Jeff, who I've never seen before.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man.
He also says, how did the taxpayers get roped into building stadiums and arenas to begin with?
Right.
That's a great point.
Exactly right.
Build your own stadium. That's why they're
going to make the money.
That's right.
They're going to make the money. We're not going to make a dime off of it.
If they do this, I want some sort of revenue sharing. I'm sorry.
Something like that.
Whoosh, best show in St. Louis. Oh, thanks.
Whoosh.
Goodness. How do property tax supposed to go up soon? How about property tax supposed to go up soon? Yeah, that's what Nick's trying to get rid of. Eliminate real estate tax. It's far too expensive. They're taxing us out of our houses and homes. Sometimes I think that's the plan. Just tax us so that we're the poor people begging for a piece of bread in the street.
Well, the left, the Democrats, that's what they want. They want the power and control to be able to tell you, yeah, you can't do this, you can do this.
So people who are regular citizens who are Democrats or libtards, as Helen pointed out, they want that? They want to be begging in the street for a piece of bread?
They want us to be, so they can control it.
Wait a minute. You're talking about the politicians.
Yes, I'm
talking about the regular people.
Okay.
Okay? We're just regular people.
Right.
We don't want to be begging for a piece of bread in the street.
No.
Because their policies are bad.
Right.
So is regular person on the left support that, and then they want to be begging for bread in the street? What do they think's in it for them?
Because they don't see it that way. They see it like, well, I'm not going to do it, but they can.
They should be thanking us for warning them.
Exactly right.
A little bit.
But they never do.
They
no
don't.
Thanks.
No.
I slave over a hot microphone.
All day.
How about we build the stadium and they return 15% of the gate until the taxpayers are picked up?
See, something like that.
Jeff,
I
that's
refer you to Green Bay Packers again.
That's right. Right. Good morning, everyone. Hello, Kathleen.
Good morning, St. Louis.
We need to MAGA this not so special session.
I like that.
Oh my God, that's Speaker Tim Jones, who also says whoosh, my brothers.
Whoosh.
Illinois actually would be great if we could get rid of everything above Interstate 80. Oh my God. Correct. Just cut it in half.
Just cut it off.
Right at Interstate 80.
All right. That's the border. That's the border wall right there.
Jeff also says, yeah, Veterans Month. You bet.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you guys more than you can imagine. More than 2.5 million American heroes served in Vietnam with an average age of 22. I thought the average age was 19. 58,272 died serving their country in Vietnam, including Uncle Chuck.
Yep. Uncle Chuck.
Good morning, Vichead Patriots.
Hey, can I explain it for a real quick second?
Yeah, man.
The reason why I got so emotional because I was too young, but I was too young to remember Uncle Chuck. But my mother, she was the second youngest. He was the youngest. So those two kind of stuck together, right? When he died, it stayed with my mom till she died. Okay, her whole life. And whenever she referred to the story, she broke down crying because him walking up the street in 95-degree weather and fulfilling a promise that he made for her to wear his dress blues was amazing. And she cried every single time she said it. And it got me. It just got me, guys.
Ken,
you know,
I get it, man. You don't have to explain it to us.
I know, but I just want
we all get it.
But there, I'm sure with somebody out there going, well, you were just too young to remember that. Why you crying? You know, and that's the reason. My mother hit her so hard. You know.
Perfect. Good morning, freedom fighters. Good morning, Vic and Ken. Missouri is trying to be like Illinois more and more every day. Now Missouri is looking at raising property taxes by local auditors by 15%. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't understand that. If that's happening, we got to find out from the I guess from Nick and everybody.
Charles Grodicky from Jefferson County says, no more Happy Meals here.
That's right. Thanks, Charles.
Funny. No, look.
Allison's very nice. She said, we love your stories, Vic. I'm glad.
Very true.
Because if I've been telling these stories and nobody likes them, then we're wasting our time here.
Well, exactly.
In the murder...
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that.
Excuse me.
You like when I play that, don't you?
I do. In the murdering illegal aliens car, they found 14 unlit Molotov cocktails.
Shut up.
And paperwork from USAID. USAID is a target sponsor of terrorist and money laundering operation. Last year, they gave $164 billion to Islamic causes and anti-Semitism. My God.
You're mocking me, aren't you?
They need to charge him with federal murder and attempted murder with the death penalty. And it should be a terrorist. It should be a terrorist.
There shouldn't even been a question there. A hate crime.
And Amy says, and the audacity of Greta Thunberg traveling to Gaza.
How dare you?
Yeah. R.I.P. Uncle Chuck.
Oh, thank you.
Real American hero.
Yep.
I love we're celebrating our vets. You bet. Nobody more important as far as we're concerned. All right.
Well, I mean, what else would you do during the month of veterans in June?
Wear a rainbow shirt.
No. Veterans Month.
That's all there is. Hey, y'all, guess who's first? Yeah, 101 in first. Good morning, Vickheads. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Oh, my God. 101 stealing the pledge from Ed Stoit.
Oh, man.
Man, if you guys want to wrestle, just let us know.
Yeah, we'll televise it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. No fair elections.
No peace.
No fair tariffs.
No peace.
To hell with KC, says Don. One more day until whoosh whoosh. Everybody getting ready for that double whoosh Wednesday.
Whoosh.
101 says, don't you whoosh whoosh on this here Tuesday. That's why I started one more day. Okay, well, just Wednesdays are double whoosh Wednesday. There's no other question about it.
I'm going to get confused.
That's why. Oh, a 3-hour tour, Helen said too, besides Libtards.
That's right.
I want to be clear.
That's why I started the one more day. All right, you guys fight it out. All right. Will any one of these Libtards politicians ever be arrested? That's what I really would like to see.
This is what we need. We need a payoff. That's what I said before. We need a payoff, and we need someone to be charged, tried, and convicted of the crimes that they're talking about that actually happened.
Yes, they did. What? Take your blood pressure.
Okay.
Jeez. Good morning, all you beautiful, mega, ultra patriotic, garbaging, deplorable, degenerate, freedom fighting, God fearing, Vickhead weirdos.
We in these hot ass streets, honey.
Cause otherwise everybody would be wishing all the time, and that's just a waste of wishes.
It's
just a waste of wishes. You know what we have to do? We're gonna have to start to make a whoosh
again.
Make a whoosh foundation.
Yeah.
We are taxed in Illinois on everything, and the school districts add even more. 67% of my property tax is just the school district. What?
That's crazy. I mean, we have it bad here, but at least we're not in Illinois.
Okay.
Wow.
Personal property taxes need to stop. Gas tax in Illinois now can go up every July for eternity. Wow. Jabba signed that bill. Jabba the Hutt, the governor, Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
The Republican.
I knew exactly who they were talking about.
The Republican Party in Illinois is anemic, non-effective, often just bitch, but never get anything done. All the time. Jabba quotes. Same guy that took all the toilets out of his mansion so that his property taxes would be lower.
Remember that?
I do not.
Okay, so when he was I think it was when he was running for governor, that story came out where he removed all of the facilities in the bathroom so it could get a better rate or something like that.
Where does he go to the bathroom? Outside?
I don't know what it was about. I don't know exactly how it happened, but I heard the story.
You guys need a new governor. You guys need a Republican governor.
I'm not weird. You're weird. You guys are being so weird.
We need to have a federal investigation into Illinois vote stealing. Have you seen The Irishman? Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, about Jimmy Hoffa. You have seen it?
I've seen most of it, yeah.
So there's a scene when there's a guy in a graveyard cemetery, and he's looking at the tombstones and he's writing down the people's names off the gravestones. And then he goes and he votes as those people.
Oh, okay.
To get Jimmy Hoffa elected. They
Wow.
probably still do that.
No doubt.
In Illinois.
Oh, in Illinois, for sure.
In a more technological way, I guess. I see a lot of Illinois license plates at South County Costco filling up gas. So when they're in session down there, right up there in Springfield, and they're talking about gas tax, there's not one state senator or state representative that says, excuse me, well, they're just going to go across the border and buy gas in Missouri where it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Because then you don't get anything. Then you get zero taxes.
Yeah, right.
Because they go to Missouri. The Illinois Republican Party won't stop the vote stealing on their own. Help us, President Trump. Put that in the cookie box. Help us, President
for
Trump.
Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Illinois politics in general. What's the current on super mayor? Why isn't Henyard in prison? Hope I didn't say something bad there. I don't know what the Henyard is. Need Tom Homan to clean out the illegals, and they'll stop some votes. I bet a lot of those 122-year-olds on Social Security live in Illinois. Illinois population is growing, but with illegal aliens.
There's more truth to that than we realize. They're bringing them in, and it's a sanctuary. He is reaffirming that it's a sanctuary state, and every city is a sanctuary city.
And, I guess I didn't realize it. Should have, but I didn't realize it till this morning. We were talking to Sharkey. Cool name, right?
Yeah. Dylan Sharkey.
Dylan Sharkey, PI, private investigator. Just the facts, man. Too many lib turds up north in Illinois. I heard
Cook County, is it Cook County?
Cook County is where Chicago is.
Yeah, that's the county that's so big. There's like 5 million.
Yeah. B.B. King recorded an album there live at Cook County Jail. Really good. We need an Illinois Doge. EOJ, I guess.
EOJ.
I hear there were even some unborn folks getting Social Security.
Yeah, there were quite a few, actually.
Ken, we don't elect or re-elect them. It's stolen. All in caps.
Oh, okay.
Really mad at you.
Sorry about that.
Ain't even been born yet, and they're collecting Social Security. I know, we talked to Representative Burlison earlier today, and I brought up the SSDI.
Right.
And he agreed completely. But I never hear any talk about it on TV, about people that say they're disabled and they're not.
No, you want to hear the representatives talk about it and bring it to light.
Do something.
Don't wait for like the Today Show or the CBS Morning News to talk about it. They're not going to.
Never. You can't leave Illinois easily if you can't sell your home to anyone.
I agree with that totally.
I'd never buy a home in Illinois, not while the scumbags of Chi-Town are on the take. That's like...
22 years ago when we were looking for a home, we were shopping around, and we looked over in Waterloo, and we were close there. Columbia and Waterloo. But in Columbia at the time, you couldn't find a house for sale.
Because they can't sell it.
Yeah, probably. I didn't know it then.
Right.
I thought, well, this must be a great place. Nobody wants to move. But
Chicago's been corrupt since the 20s.
Okay. Yeah.
Then when you have 2.9% interest rate on a mortgage and want to move to Missouri, you have to take into account the 6.5% current interest rates. You can only buy less house.
Right. That's true.
Also, Missouri's home prices have skyrocketed. Boy, people in Illinois. We're in Illinois prison. We were framed, see? Yeah. I didn't do this. We were framed.
Yeah.
We refied to get 2.5. We ain't moving. CPO Sharkey with Don Rickles. That was like a cop show on TV.
Yeah.
70s, 60s.
Well, I'll be.
Dylan Sharkey. Dylan CPO Sharkey. I don't think he's ever coming back, by the way.
Oh, he is.
He's sick of hearing how.
I think he liked it.
Speaking of him, somebody said keep Dylan on the schedule. Good catch. LOL. Rickles was never a favorite of mine, but he had some great moments. Boy, he did. Thank you for addressing Illinois issues. Can this be a more often segment? Pretty please. Hey. DLW says 4 hours for Vic and Ken.
Oh, there we go.
4 hours of Vic and Ken, Colombo and Allman, 1 to 4.
Right.
I'm not doing 4 hours.
This is taking forever.
I am one of those still looking and wanting to work, currently getting food stamp. This is Brian Hewing from Incarnate Word.
Hewing?
Yes, whatever.
Whoosh.
You know the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Fish fries?
Brian, yes.
He wrote us an email, nice email.
Great email, yeah.
Well, he's looking for work. Somebody hired him. He's a good guy.
Oh, good.
Oh, good what?
Did he? Oh, you said that he got hired?
No, he needs to.
Oh, okay.
He needs to get hired. Give him a job. He's a good guy. He's trustworthy.
He's a good guy.
And it's actually 3 hours for Vic and Ken, noon to 2 for Allman. What's he saying here?
I don't know.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Okay, so there's a lot of people trying to help Brian. That's good. If there ever are any other doctors you can interview, we'd like to hear some other doctors. So I'm going to say, Francis, what if we call you Victor or Kenneth and not kill you?
And I kill you.
Apparently, Helen is correct, and many rhinos and Uniparty members can't get off the island too. So what does Dr. Tobler think about Senator Ron Johnson's hearing on COVID-19 vaccine injuries? Probably ain't going to like it. Don Moe said the corruption and some docs fall for it. Lieutenant Colonel Rob Wunderlich retired for, oh, that's great. Just send it to Ken.
Yeah, send it to Ken at NewstalkSTL.com, and I'll put it in the stack. Because what I'm doing, the only choice that I have at this point is to the earliest ones that get in, I can start, talking about them every day. We
want to talk about your favorite veterans, so get the stuff into Ken at NewstalkSTL.com. Don't let the lip turds fool you. They really want to just say to us, let them eat cake. That's right. Less bathrooms, less tax. I don't know why. Was I asleep during that whole bathroom thing with him?
No, I don't know.
Jabba?
I'm in Jabba.
And then there's another one here, somebody talking about a veteran. That's great. We definitely want to talk about it. But, we want to keep everybody in the proper order.
Well, yeah. I mean, people got in there. Keep sending them.
Yeah,
we
send
need
them
more.
in.
We need more. So.
Ken at NewstalkSTL.com. We'll talk about your favorite veteran on it. Oh, my God. See how he pushes me around, everybody? You see? Now he's up my ass. I give and I give and I give. Ed Story threw one more in. Can the vet segment be longer and address more vets? We can never do enough.
We'll try
for these P1s.
But we'll try, won't we?
Yes, we will. All right, that's it. I can't do no more. Thank you so much for having the record player on at night to listen to us this morning.
Make sure you have the record player on at night.
Jamie Allman, who just won a Missouri Broadcasters Award.
Congrats, Jamie.
Award.
Yeah.
And he's next. 3 martini lunch. We'll see you tomorrow.
Jamie Allman here with the Allman Report. Pleased to be with Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. That's what it's all about. Jordan, tell me about purchasing a home, brother.
Purchasing a home right now, it's a tough market. You're going to see a lot of competition. On the bagel loan that we have, you're going to have no closing costs, no title fees, no appraisal fees, no lender fees. Saves an average client almost $4,000 on a transaction. Customer service, unbelievable. Text, call anytime.
As I know, as a real estate agent, Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, folks.
NMLS number 226715.
Happy Father's Day.
For Father's Day, families everywhere giving dads 40% of the effort they put into Mother's Day.
Dad, I love you.
I appreciate everything you've done for me and all the sacrifices.
I love you, Dad.
Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day for everybody.
Happy Father's Day.
My father's a hero.
Thank you for everything, Pops.
Happy Father's Day from some of Dad's favorites: Ray Ray's Kettle Corn, Pretty Little Paws, the Augusta Chamber of Commerce, and News Talk STL.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Lawmakers return to Washington this week, and Republicans are gearing up to pass the president's big, beautiful bill, which includes sweeping tax cuts and a rollback of social services like Medicaid. More from Bernie Bennett.
A handful of Senate Republicans have expressed concerns about the bill's proposed cuts. Republican Kentucky Senator Rand Paul threw cold water on the plan. He argued the proposal's spending cuts and tax breaks in the massive bill will only balloon the federal deficit. On Truth Social, President Donald Trump went after Paul, arguing that if he joins Democrats to block the bill, the great people of Kentucky will never forgive him. On Monday, Senate Majority Leader John Thune pledged to get to work. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
Also at townhall.com, in Colorado, federal and state prosecutors filed separate criminal cases against Mohammed Solomon for the Boulder attack, charging him with a hate crime and attempted murder, respectively. He faces additional state charges, and more charges are possible in federal court.